Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of, not quite Tinfoil Tuesday, it's Monday, where we're going to be looking at Flat Earther documentary, as you saw the quotes in the title, that came out recently, and we're going to debunk it, make fun of it, whatever. Thanks Tina2 for rating, I appreciate that. Go check out Tina2 here on Twitch. Raiders, hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a trans streamer. Pronouns are she, her. The main thing I like to do is look at conspiracy theories and debunk them, make fun of them, talk about their origins and why people fall into them. I also cover political content. Sometimes we do cringe streams. We cover sovereign citizens, which is sort of its own special brand of conspiracy theory. So welcome, give me a follow if you like what you see. It's pretty casual here. Of course, we're an LGBT safe community. We try and keep chat nice and supportive, and if trolls show up, we have fun messing with them. So it's a lot of fun. Cosmic Cats with 16 months says, "Hey Hannah and chat, hope the start of the week is going well. Looking forward to some Flat Earth content. Yay." Well, I'm glad that you're having a good one. Fiery One with a first time chat says, "Finally catching one of these streams live. I've only seen the VODs content on YouTube. Well, I'm glad you could make it." Bumble Homestead with 200 bits says, "Listening audio only and driving kiddos to dance." Cool. Well, I hope the kids have a good dance class. Hats off. Moira Soma, what would you like me to wear? Please don't make me wear the Jadora. Don't make me wear the Jadora today. But what do you want me to wear? Witch hat? I can wear the witch hat. The witch hat's probably my favorite thing to wear out of the hats off things. There we go. I'm very purple today. I'm glad I got the one with the wire in the brim. That was a good choice. That was a good add-on on Etsy. Rosalind Faith, thanks for 7 months and kicking off a hype train. Appreciate it. Let's see if we can get this hype train done and dusted. We'll start the documentary and all the flat earth stuff once we get through with the hype train. Right now we're at 75% to level 1. Do you guys see that Twitter's about to come even worse since Elon Musk bought it? My god. Sork Zitsto says, "The Earth is actually concave. It's what keeps the centrifugal force of the orbit from throwing us into space. I thought everyone knew this." Elon buying Twitter is going to be bad. I'm imagining, especially a lot of people in my community, are going to use the block button a lot more than we used to. So, this should be interesting. If you use Twitter. If you don't, congratulations. Good for you. I can't go away from Twitter, unfortunately. Outside of, like, YouTube and Twitch, my biggest audience of people is on Twitter. I have 20-something followers, 20,000-something followers on Twitter. And I kind of need it to promote my streams and stuff. So I can't not be on Twitter, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's gonna be bad. I swear to God, if he unblocks Donald Trump, I'm gonna lose my shit. You see Babylon Bee and Trump getting accounts back? Oh, yeah. I guarantee anyone who was banned for, like, transphobic shit, they're gonna get unbanned because Elon Musk hates trans people ever since he got cucked by one. So, you know. Trump said he's saying on Truth. See, that seems like bullshit because Trump hasn't even tweeted on Truth Social. Not once. But whatever. I don't care either way. It is what it is. If Twitter goes to shit, what else is new? Will I am not okay with 420 bits says, "Time to delete my Twitter." Yeah. Unless you follow me, then don't delete your Twitter. Just keep it, just so I can keep my numbers up. By the way, if you want to come to the hell site known as Twitter, twitter.com/Hannah Reloaded. At Hannah Reloaded on Twitter. Cursed object. What is this? 1% to level 2 on the hype train. Twitter user adapted an idea from this person to cover an Xbox controller in Furby materials, creating this pink monstrosity. The eyes are control sticks, the beak is the D-pad, and its soul now inhabits the home button. See all the photos here. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't like that. It's like a biblically accurate Furby. Be not afraid. Oh, look, it's me. By me. Bim, 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 bim. Bim, bim, bim. Me, Jake, Sarah, and 4 other creators are the only reason you care about Twitter. Yeah. Twitter is a nightmare. Austin Rosenberg says, I wonder if he will ban porn like Tumblr. That'd be stupid, especially considering he's apparently taking it private. Yes, Fryserburn, we're talking about the Elon Musk thing right now. Bittergrin, thanks for 1,000 bits, bringing us to 59% to level 1. Gotta find something for us to watch during this hype train. What is it gonna be? What has Sausage Guy done? What has Sausage Guy done? Moira Soma with 200 bits says, I only had a Twitter account to get a notice when you go on Twitch, but for some reason I don't get a notice until the next day, so F it. Artemis, 50 bits says, hey Hannah, I have a question about the Patreon streams. Are they live only, or is there a VOD after? There is a VOD, but you have to access it through the Patreon feed because it's hidden on YouTube. So once you become a patron, you can go to... Hold on. I'll show you. I gotta take it off screen, though, because I subscribe to people's Patreons, and they're not safe for work artists, so I can't show it on screen. So, okay, to my page where there's no pornography. Anyway, so this is my Patreon page. By the way, we're doing our patron-only live stream Saturday the 30th. So this is the patron page. Once you subscribe to the Patreon at any amount, you can go down to the feed and you see how it's posted here. Patron-only live stream, 3/20/2022, and it goes back to the other patron-only live streams. You'll be able to access them from here. They're hidden on YouTube, so if you're a Patreon, you have access to the links of the old VODs, except for 1 or 2 which were removed by YouTube. I've never removed any, but a couple got removed from YouTube for some reason. Can I sub to it for $1? You sure can, unless Patreon has a limit that's... No, I'm pretty sure you can do $1. I get dollar donations, so you can definitely do it for $1. Patreon.com/HannahReloaded. Profane Priestess with a status from Shu on head. Oh god, what'd she say now? Says, God, I'm fucking done with Shu. This is a response to a trans person that you should vary your pronouns if someone uses more than one set. I'm just not gonna hang out with trans people anymore. Too many rules. Oh god, I hate Shu. I really, really do. Rosalind Faye says, damn, that would make sex work even harder to sell. Oh god, what is this? It's some TJ said. Check out TJ's epic rant on Elon Musk. Okay.
Is making Netflix unwatchable. 251.7 thousand morons.
That makes no sense. Because there's all kinds of content on Netflix. It's just like...
There's plenty of fucking conservative shit.
81% to level 2 with 20 seconds left.
It's like
Hydrate.
all over the fucking ideological spectrum. Because you know what? Netflix does not have a political agenda. None of these fucking companies give a flying fuck about being woke or whatever. If they can sell shit to woke people, they'll do it. If they can sell shit to people who are like, fuck all this woke bullshit, they'll do that too. They don't have any fucking preference. You know what they are? They're whores for your money. That's all they fucking want. They don't give a fuck about your social values. If fucking 70% of the population tomorrow was like, let's kill all the Mexicans, Netflix would have like Steve Smith, Mexican Hunter, on their fucking programming. They wouldn't give a...
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't usually like TJ's takes, though. He's volatile. But yes, companies are mainly doing things, and pretty much only doing things because they think it'll make them money. Will I Am Not Okay, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs, and Neemsor Kolboth, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Unfortunately, they were both just that much too late to save the train, but still. Very good, thank you. Okay, so let's get into it. So some time ago, a bunch of flat earthers got together and created a documentary called Level, which was an entire documentary that was a smorgasbord of all sorts of common flat earth arguments. We debunked that some time ago, and now they've come out... they've come out with a sequel to that documentary called The Next Level. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and debunk it, make fun of it, etc., etc. It's It's like an hour and a half long, so this is probably the whole stream. So buckle up and just get ready for some dumb flat earther arguments, I guess. Hibbler Productions. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta check this out. HibblerProductions.com. Oops. Hibbler Productions, transparency and truth for all. Uncensored films and documentaries. Do they feel that flat earthers are being censored? Films. Oh, the two that they have are literally the... Oh, no, okay, they have more conspiracy documentaries. A Shot in the Dark, which I'm assuming is an anti-vax thing. Plandemic. Oh, did they do... No, that's The Plandemic, which is probably different than the Plandemic thing. Yikerinos. They do basically only dogshit conspiracy stuff. Shocking. Alright, back to the feature presentation. Hydrate. Oh, I used to use this. This is just a stock image you get from Google. Wouldn't it be hilarious, considering they're using this like fair use warning, if they tried to take down my video even though me criticizing them falls within fair use? Hydrate. Wow, two fair use warnings.
And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made from the White House.
Challenger, only seconds after leaving the launch pad, according to NASA, has exploded.
It just has the same seats that like a normal car has. It's literally a normal car in space.
And we're going back to the moon, back to the future, and this time, back to stay.
I should tell you that the first mission is scheduled to land on Mars on July the 4th, 1997.
We will undertake extended human missions to the moon as early as 2015.
We launched a new spacecraft as part of a re-energized space program that will send American astronauts to Mars.
We will not only plant our flag and leave our footprint for an eventual mission to Mars.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
By the way, it's funny
too. Believers need to.
That's 120.
Didn't mean to do that. Boop, boop,
3.
It's funny because if you look up the original documentary, Level Documentary, and I think this is a good thing. Boop, boop, boo. Where is it? They have clips from it. Level 2 documentaries. Weird, it doesn't even pop up anymore. It used to be that when you search for that documentary, Simon Dan's debunks came up first, but now none of them are. They must have changed the algorithm.
2, 1.
The one thing globe believers need to understand is that you don't just take the spinning ball Earth and flatten it out and put it back in the heliocentric model. Like it's just the only misfit planet and it's flat and the rest of the planets are round. No flat earther has ever said that. No flat earther will ever.
Monster Heart. I know you're trying to post a thing. You can't say the S word on Twitch though. So even if I try and approve that message, it doesn't work. Just so you know, you gotta do it without saying that S word. That word's not allowed on Twitch. I don't make the rules.
Say that because it's not what we believe. The Earth isn't a pancake floating in outer space. And you will never hear a flat earther say that. And if you would ever actually take the time to study it for yourself or hear a flat earther through, then you would find that it's much different and things would actually make more sense.
They've got.
So what he's talking about right now is There's a group, I believe, called the Flat Earth Society, and if you look up the Flat Earth Society, which I'll do now, the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is a group that professes to be flat earthers that put out all sorts of beliefs. I'm not sure if I can find their specific website. There it is, flatearthsociety.org. I think this is them. And they put out information about, like, oh, the Earth is basically like a flat pancake, but floating in space and stuff. Now, I believe the Flat Earth Society actually predates the modern Flat Earth movement, because the Flat Earth Society started as a satire, right? It was a joke. Haha, wouldn't it be funny if people believed flat Earth in this day and age? But then, unfortunately, for some reason, we got this Flat Earth movement in between 2015 and 2017. It still exists today in some form, obviously, based on the fact that this documentary exists, but its height and popularity was around 2017. And they went, oh, the Flat Earth Society is putting out all sorts of false Flat Earth information. They're controlled opposition, when in reality, the Flat Earth Society existed first, and they were a satire of Flat Earthers, but real Flat Earthers are dumb, so they don't understand that it's a group of people that was making fun of the idea of Flat Earthers, that they actually are, that existed before they were even a thing.
Got the narrative controlled to where anyone that goes to search for this, they're going to see pancakes floating up in space, you know, and it turns people away. Or they see a snow globe out in the middle of space with water falling off the sides, and they're like, what is this?
I like the idea that they think this is more or less ridiculous than their idea that the Earth just goes on, like, forever, or that it's this, but space doesn't exist, and it's like heaven on the outside. They're like, we don't believe that the Earth is a pancake floating in space. We believe the Earth is an infinite plane that goes on forever and space is a hoax. Like, those are both silly ideas that turn people off. Just for the record. Monster Heart says, oh man, oh well, have some bits anyway. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, not my rules, they're Twitch's.
Turns them away. The mainstream agenda was to push their false narrative, all these hit pieces on Flat Earth.
That's funny. Behind the Curve is an excellent documentary about Flat Earth. You can find it on Netflix if you happen to still have a subscription. If not, pirate it.
2016, 2017, that was pretty much the end of the YouTube era, where we could actually find real evidence, real, content. Any search engine, the algorithms are suited to their favor. You're going to see all the hit pieces. You're going to see all the stuff that's there to debunk Flat Earth.
You know why Flat Earth debunking videos show up before Flat Earth positive videos? Because they get more views. If you look up Flat Earth at any time on YouTube, the videos that get views are things making fun of Flat Earth, not the Flat Earth videos. I think some of the highest rated actual positive Flat Earth videos ever were like Mark Sargent's series. What the heck was it called? Mark Sargent. I think it was called Flat Earth Clues. This is like the series that sort of started the modern Flat Earth movement. I mean, it existed in some way prior to that, but Mark Sargent very much popularized it. So 7 years ago, he put out Flat Earth Clues, which is a multi-part series that promotes all sorts of misinformation and bad evidence, lots of air quotes this video, for Flat Earth. And this has some millions of views, like 1.2 million views, and then, of course, that goes down pretty sharply by the next part. That's just the introduction. Part 1 has almost 500,000 views, Part 3 has 370, and then, like most long-form series on YouTube, the views drop off after each one. But if you look up, like, videos criticizing Flat Earth or making fun of it, like that YouTuber that did a whole long bit making fun of Flat Earth, those are much more popular. So I think the real reason, though it is true that YouTube tried to crack down and is trying to crack down in misinformation, which is good, I think the bigger factor here is the fact that most people just aren't Flat Earthers and find the concept silly, and it's an easy thing to make fun of. That's about it. Miss K's, thanks for 21 months.
So it's just, it's almost impossible to get the real information.
YouTube played their part.
The real information is only the information that agrees with the Earth being flat.
And not just cherry picking which videos they wanted to show, but deciding whether or not they wanted you to subscribe to somebody. So on several occasions and with several different content creators, I'd press the subscribe button to then find out several days or several weeks later that I couldn't find that content.
Oh, that's not a flat earth centric thing. That happens to every YouTuber. That happens to me. And I'm literally someone who is on the opposite side of these people in that I debunk conspiracy content. And every YouTuber I know, and I've been on YouTube for like 10 years, so I know a lot of people in YouTube. This is a pervasive problem for every YouTuber. YouTube unsubscribes people from channels for God knows what reason. They're not trying to specifically silence flat earthers with that. That's just the shitty platform that you have to deal with when you work on YouTube.
Creator, assuming they'd either been deleted or they'd been censored beyond belief. And of course they had been, because my subscription that was previously made was no longer there. And I know that I hadn't unsubscribed to anybody. And then resubscribing, you'd find again that down the line that the same things reoccurred.
There's a major campaign by Google and YouTube and all of these corporate lying companies.
Can I point out that this guy's title is astrotheologist?
To discredit the flat earth. Why do they have that disclaimer under every video dealing with the topic of flat earth that it is?
Because they do that for videos that might have something to do with misinformation. This happens all the time. Like if you search up a video about 9/11, it often happens. If you search up something about JFK, this happens. If you search up something about the 2020 election, this happens. Because unfortunately we live in an era of conspiracy theories where they're incredibly prevalent and easily spread. So, in order to try and curb that somewhat, I don't think it does much, if anything. But one of the things YouTube has done is, underneath videos of a contentious nature, let's say, they'll put a link to sources like Wikipedia that basically talk about the topic more authoritatively than one who just posts a video to YouTube, because at least Wikipedia, you need to provide sources for your claims. So, that's the reason.
It's an archaic.
The earth is not flat, but it is made of pepper jack cheese. That's a shame. I don't like pepper jack. Which is probably good, otherwise I'd eat the earth and we'd all die.
Outdated model that the ancients used to believe in. Of course, the ancients were stupid. They didn't know how to build Gothic cathedrals, and
the ancients weren't dumb, and I hate that straw man where like they'll be like, oh, everyone just thinks the ancients are stupid or whatever, civilizations that thought the earth was flat, which historically isn't that many relative to like how long civilizations have been around. But no, they can be very good at some things and not very good at all at other things. If they are a society that thought the world was flat, they were wrong on that, but that doesn't mean they can't build, beautiful architecture or wonders of the world or something. They're completely different things.
I didn't know how to build cities and pyramids.
The problem is, people that think that flat earth is stupid think flat earth is stupid because they're thinking of a stupid flat earth.
I know what he means. Still a funny sentence.
And they ridicule and make fun of flat earthers. It's absolutely ridiculous.
To be clear, what they have an issue with here is that space exists. They do think it is flat, and many of them believe there is a dome. Their issue is that they think space is silly. Hypescapism with 200 bits says, first time catching a stream, super happy about that. Greetings from Germany. I dropped 2 doses of acid an hour ago and things are getting deeply wondrous around here. Well, I hope you have a wonderful trip.
Yes.
Since 2015, the content providers for Flat Earth have had a living hell. We have been ridiculed, we have been trolled, we have been censored beyond belief by YouTube.
Why won't they promote our videos full of misinformation? Moira Soma says, I have heard this guy, Santos, tell people on the show that he used to have sex with farm animals, so there is that. Oh, that's not good. Don't do that.
It's really difficult to get the truth out there.
YouTube controls the algorithm. Who owns YouTube? Google. These are these big...
You can go on BitChute or Rumble. I literally go there to find conspiracy content sometimes for the show. There are other platforms now for video stuff like that.
Corporations that came in and said, the flat earth is getting way too big. People are finding this out. We don't want them to find this out.
They were getting a lot of flack for promoting conspiracy theories because we recognize that we live in an age where conspiracy theories, like I said earlier, are not only some silly thing that people like, oh, kind of believe on the side, and oh, they believe in Bigfoot, isn't that eccentric? But unfortunately, they've become a way and an avenue of radicalization for people politically. So you might start with, like, the Earth is flat, and then as we've seen on a lot of our flat Earth coverage on this channel, where we kind of debunk it and make fun of it and try and get to the bottom of it, it leads down a path to where a lot of conspiracy theorists unfortunately lead, and that is a lot of anti-Semitism. It's just a weird inevitability of conspiracy theories that no matter how silly your conspiracy theory is, at some point, if you get deep enough into it, someone's going to lead you down a path that's going to be like, oh, you know who's behind all of it? And it's going to be anti-Semitic. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up, but that's the reality of it. Unfortunately, Flat Earth and a lot of conspiracy theories are just gateways to hardcore anti-Semitic far-right ideology. It's a shame.
This will just completely destroy our agenda that we've worked so hard for. We're losing it because of our own technology that we created. So they had to get involved. Withholding information and knowledge is a form of control.
Now, for new people coming into the subject, if you research Flat Earth, the Google analytic will give you government hate propaganda against the Flat Earth truth.
If you go to Google and try to find anything Flat Earth related, then the first thing that's going to pop up is the Flat Earth Society. And that is something that has absolutely nothing to do with this movement. In fact, it's a completely made-up organisation in order to deter anybody looking for some sort of truth.
It's literally making fun of Flat Earth as a concept.
So that you'd first of all get to that page, you'd see these ridiculous accusations and this spinning disc illusion that's going upwards in space that I can assure you nobody believes in. If the globe model was as strong as they claim to be, then there wouldn't be so much concern with anybody talking about a stationary Earth model. Now, everything's fine in court until somebody walks in with a load of shit on you. Everything's fine until somebody out there has evidence that's going to prove you guilty. And that's when you start acting suspicious. That's when you start panicking. That's when you start putting damage control out there, which is inevitably what these bots are, what these trolls are on social media, and of course, the algorithm.
This is a anti-Flat Earth channel on YouTube, Fight the Flat Earth, that they're putting clown emojis over.
This is just a new lie that was started in the 20s, and even before then, they weren't really teaching anything about the world and where we were. It was just common knowledge.
One of the...
Oh, they're gonna get into the conspiracy theory that round Earth was invented in the 1920s by bankers.
Main arguments that
dog whistle bankers,
globe believers come at you with is we've known for 2,000 years. Aristophanes figured it out with his sticks and shadows.
He didn't discover the Earth was round. He used the understanding that the Earth was round and, like, the angles of... basically, the whole thing with that was it was already believed that the Earth was round at that point. There were two cities that were relatively nearby to him where there were wells where the sun would shine directly above at a certain time of the day at a certain time of year. So using this and knowing that once you see the bottom of the well, the sun is at a direct angle, like right above it, he was able to then calculate roughly the size of the Earth. The issue is not so much that he discovered the Earth was round, because it was already believed that it was round at that point, but that his ability to accurately discern the size of the Earth with that knowledge and some math means that he was able to help confirm that the Earth was round.
Well, Aristophanes may or may not have been a real mathematician. He figured out the shape of the Earth. That would have made him the Michael Jordan of mathematicians, but nobody ever mentioned him in a book until the mid-1900s.
What?
Crazy.
Tucker White, that's definitely not true. Tucker White says, no, you're losing because the idea of flat Earth is demonstrably false. Pretending for a moment round Earth didn't invent it. 1923, what the F does anyone gain from hiding the truth? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, I've talked to some elderly people and they...
Oh, this one's disgusting. There's a clip in here that appears to be someone, and it's a clip we've seen before, but I don't like to do it because it's gross, of someone talking with someone who's elderly, who may or may not be dealing with some sort of dementia, and they use her testimony as evidence for the flat Earth. It's real bad.
They've told me that back in their day when they were in school, they didn't even learn about people like Copernicus or Galileo. Everything's up for grabs at this point. People like Christopher Columbus and
Wait, why do you think because they don't remember? Because a 60-year-old doesn't remember specific things they were taught in school? Yeah, it was decades ago for them.
Any other figure in history could be totally false or created just for some sort of agenda.
This is everywhere. We found somebody in Croatia. They said they were teaching flat Earth through the 1930s.
Most people think that this flat Earth versus globe Earth has been going back and forth for thousands of years.
It hasn't been. We've known the Earth is round for millennia.
No, it has not. This is a brand new deception. They come up with these stories, these fictional stories, fictional characters, to reinforce that we live on a ball.
All of our
So this is actually a new claim for them. They're just claiming now that like historical figures didn't exist. Galileo didn't exist. Like, really? This is where we're going?
globe provers, Galileo, Aristophanes, Copernicus. The pictures of them show that they're Masons, but I contend that we don't even know if they're real. All of our history is a lie. I've met people that said that they were taught.
If history doesn't agree with me, then it must be a lie. Galaxy brain take.
Flat Earth in the early 1960s in school. They were taught flat Earth and globe Earth.
You think that in the 1960s they were teaching flat Earth? What are you talking about? You can go and find textbooks from the 1960s, you wacko.
And then it kind of just went away. I interviewed Ruth, the 102-year-old woman back in...
Oh, I think this is going to be the clip where it's a woman who's like not... So warning, this woman does not appear to be all there. And he's going to take advantage of that to elicit responses that make it sound like his bullshit is more reasonable than it is.
February of 2020, and she was taught flat Earth in public school in Connecticut.
Tell me your name.
Ruth Heath.
Ruth, and how old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
Where did you go to school? Elementary school?
I went to Spruglin School in Hamden, Connecticut.
So how does it make you feel to realize that you were right as a kid?
It makes me feel better.
It does make you feel better, right?
Oh, it makes me feel alive.
Oh my God, that is so true. My whole life, I believed, what I was taught.
That's
and then
right.
when I discovered the flat Earth.
Yeah, this is fucked up. H-Bird says, I have a copy of Ptolemy's Almagest, which was written in the 2nd century AD. The first chapter is about why the Earth is round. To be fair, my copy was printed in 1946, so I'm sure TPTB faked the whole thing, including an ancient formulation of trigonometry, which isn't used anymore. Totally worth people's time.
Feel better about it.
Because we are the center of creation.
That's right.
We are important.
That's right.
We are here.
We are God's children. And when all the problems that are happening in this world today.
I'll give you some good news. A lot of the problems that they report on the news aren't even real.
That's right. That's right.
They're just keeping us in fear.
Keeping up. That's right. That's right.
What's up with the sappy music? They're trying to cover up what a scumbag he is. Tucker White says, I often go back and forth with my right-wing parents who were born in the 1960s, so they would have been in school at this time, and there's no chance in hell that we wouldn't have clashed over the Earth.
That's right. I understand that. I understand they just say what they want people to know.
That we never went to the moon? That was all fake?
Is that right?
That's correct.
I saw that all happening.
Yeah, so did I.
He literally just told this woman, who's, again, seems to be suffering from dementia, that the moon landing didn't happen. And she's just like, is that right? And she's like, I saw it happen.
And we all believed it, but that was just to reinforce that people to believe they can live on a ball, they can walk on a ball.
It's such a lie.
It's such a lie, but knowing the lie is like going to a magic show.
I woke up.
Yes, that's what we call it. We call it red. This is your moment of...
This guy's a piece of shit. Tucker White says, old lady Hannah. Okay, Shawty, where's the $50,000 that you promised me if I said this bullshit? Oh, I'd do it for way less than $50,000.
Waking up. It's when you go to see a magician and you know how the tricks are done, and the magic no longer works on you, and you're free from the illusion. So knowing this...
What is that? How does he think magicians work? What? I can know how a magician does a trick, and it's, if anything, that usually makes it more impressive because the sleight of hand play is usually really interesting. Does he think people go to magicians and think they're doing real magic? I know it's a trick, idiot. What?
Is gonna free your heart. Yeah, it's okay. Happiness.
Yes.
Tears of joy.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, give me a hug. Here we go.
This guy sucks.
All right.
Rockefeller seems to have a role in this. He started the General Education Board and continued being involved with the educational system. The fact of the matter is, the people that have been in control, they're in control now, and they're going to continue to be in control, whether they pass it down or change the name, whatever.
Oh, which people? Which people do you think are in control specifically?
There may be, but yeah, I mean, whenever Rockefeller's name is tied to something, it's always something to question, that's for sure.
That's a huge red flag for me, that they can come in and change everything we know, all of history, and turn it into deception, and keep teaching the deception over and over and over again until it becomes the norm.
The same man who said that he wanted a nation of workers and not a nation of thinkers. This was the same person who was found guilty of antitrust violations around the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah, and you can disagree with him on that without outlandishly claiming that he concocted a scheme in order to tell people the Earth is round? What would the point be?
Who then went on to get his fingers in all of the education systems, of course with the promise of, I'll give you money.
Is she wearing an anti-theft tag? No, that's a lav mic.
Make sure that your school has...
The cotton on it, I think, is for wind. It's like a wind sock.
Everything that it needs, as long as you push these textbooks, as long as you push these narratives and you push these ideas, I'm going to give you a nation of workers and not a nation of thinkers.
Yeah. Actually, the big push initially for public education in the United States was, in fact, to try and this is interesting, push the cost of training of middle management onto the government. Because prior to the advent of public education on a mass scale, we didn't need... How do I explain this? In pre-industrial society, a lot of labor was physical, so you didn't need a high level of education. And when I say high level of education, I'm talking relative to the period. So like high school, even middle school level education. You just needed to do physical labor. You didn't even necessarily have to read, right? But after the advent of the Industrial Revolution, and so much of labor shifted from manual labor-based to clerical in nature, doing math, counting, like accounting, reading and writing stuff to keep ledgers, etc., etc. All of a sudden, you needed a more educated workforce. So, people like Rockefeller and a lot of other industrialists got together and helped lobby for public education to become a thing, so they didn't have to train adult workers how to read, write, and do mathematics as part of their training, but it would be done at a young age so that they could have laborers who already knew how to do those things. Now, it's interesting because I do think those still were overall things that are good for society, but that, and I think Dan Olson maybe talked about this in, I forget which documentary he did. It might have been his Flat Earth documentary, actually. But this balance between education as just a moral good to help you become a well-rounded person and education as an avenue for training for work as an adult has been a pretty consistent balancing act in the history of education in the United States. But that doesn't undermine the fact that education is good, right? If we really, at this day and age, just wanted people to only learn what they need for work, they'd just have you go and sit in a room for a year and watch Amazon training videos and then go right to work in the warehouse. Again, I believe that's something very similar that Dan said in his documentary. But we recognize as a society, at least most of us, that education is good, helps you be a more rounded person, so we have a good generalized education in public schools. Overthought with 50 bits says, they, in response to that.
They want you to think.
Sir, we are they.
We are they. And then Meek says, even Columbus knew that the Earth was round. It was part of the reason why people didn't want to fund his journey, because people knew he would have died in the middle of the Atlantic if America didn't exist. G. Tara, thanks for 3 months, says, yay, 3-month subiversary, and Tucker White.
It was my understanding that there would be no math.
And that's exactly what we've become.
Now, this should tell you something why we can't talk about literally the thing that we're standing on. Why is that?
Knowing that there is a creator, absolutely. That is one of the main reasons to hide this.
Again, that would be a terrible motive considering the vast majority of people on Earth are religious. In the United States alone, the majority are Christian, and then the second biggest group, I believe, are Muslim, then Jewish. Either way, I think non-religious in the United States is only like 16% or something. It's going to depend upon the age group. But if the intent of people, like, faking the shape of the Earth was to get people to be non-religious, it was a terrible plan. That doesn't even make sense. Hydrate. Will do.
But, you know, at the same time, it's nowhere near comparison when 1 billion people find out that there's more land.
It's about hidden land. I think there's possible they could be hiding land in here somewhere with us. And I think that the Antarctic Treaty is very, very, very sinister, and there must be something else going on.
They went really tough with their implementation of the Antarctic Treaty and everything else, and just to keep people away from the truth. They didn't want people to know about more land.
Haven't we been fighting over land forever? Isn't that what always happens?
The Antarctic Treaty came into existence mostly because countries didn't want to start World War III over fighting for desolate, desert, icy land in the Antarctic. Like, the idea was basically, if we don't do this, then it's going to start some sort of race where people are going to try, because of its relatively centralized location at the bottom of the Earth, relative bottom, of course, there's no bottom in space, except for me, because of its relatively central location, if you wanted to plant a bunch of military bases there with missile silos, you would have an advantageous position because you'd be able to strike targets more easily from a position like that. So they didn't want to have a big pissing contest over trying to fight for Antarctic land. So instead, they signed the Antarctic Treaty so no one can put any military bases there. Research bases can be a thing. There are a decent number of scientific research stations in Antarctica, but that's about it. Tucker White says, these Fs say they're being silenced, yet they never shut up. Curious.
Trees fighting over land, but not on the outskirts of Antarctica. Oh, no, no, no. No fighting there. They're all in agreement. You can't go there. You can't explore.
You can go there. As a person, you can absolutely go there. There are literal Antarctic cruises that you can take that will take you there, and then you can go on the land and they'll give you a little tour. Like, this is the desolate hellscape that is the Antarctic. For the next 1,000 miles that way, there's nothing but ice and death. You know? I do think it's interesting. I have nothing against going to see Antarctica outside of the fact that cruise ships are terrible for the environment and you shouldn't go on cruises. But it's not sinister. There's nothing there. Building infrastructure alone is a nightmare. No one wants to deal with that.
Or any of it.
That treaty was in effect in 1959. It can't even be questioned until the year 2041. The longest lasting treaty that all of the world signed on to at the same time and is still in place. Antarctica is the container of our world oceans. What is beyond Antarctica? Why is the government hiding Antarctica from us? Why is Antarctica completely off limits except for taking a tour of a little peninsula off of South America, which is nothing? And people...
Oh my god, it's a frozen wasteland. Not only that, but people have gone on journeys across it to set records. People have circumnavigated it. People have done all sorts of things in Antarctica. It's a hellscape of frozenness. Logan, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, raiders. I'm Hannah. I am a leftist streamer, and I spend a lot of time debunking and making fun of conspiracy theories, because we all know in this day and age, conspiracy theories, unfortunately, tie a lot into politics. If not the actual conspiracy theories, then the same kinds of magical thinking that fuel conspiracy theories, like Flat Earth, have ended up in the discourse around politics. So I like to spend time doing this. If you like what you see, give me a follow. Go check out KF Logan 1875 here on Twitch.
People go, well, you can go to Antarctica.
We spent months trying to actually do it. I was going to send a crew. They won't call back. You can't even go there. There's one peninsula where you look at penguins. So
exactly. And then you think, I have some friends.
It's interesting that they think putting Alex Jones in their Flat Earth documentary, air quotes, is lending them credibility. Tucker White says, aside from the Treaty of Antarctica, the reason nobody fights over it is because...
It's freaking freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Yeah. No one wants to build out all sorts of infrastructure to build military bases in Antarctica. It'd be awful. It would be time-consuming and costly.
Friends that went to fucking South Pole. Yeah, they put them in that little fucking island with penguins. You can't just...
Then you went to Antarctica.
It's a peninsula.
And you walk...
Peninsulas are different than islands. I say this as someone from Michigan. Peninsulas are different than islands.
Walked around it. He's like being in New Jersey and saying you were chilling in California. It's fucking huge.
That peninsula is part of Antarctica, though, so it's not that. It's like being in South California and saying you're in California, because you're in California. If you're on that peninsula, you're in Antarctica. Do you want them to airdrop you Fortnite style into the center of Antarctica near the South Pole? You'll die. There's nothing there.
There's about 100 different companies that you can spend a lot of money to go on a little guided tour of just that peninsula, but all of those companies are owned under one umbrella. One person controls them all. They don't let anybody explore Antarctica.
Explore what? First of all, like I said, there literally have been people, Antarctica, who have explored Antarctica. There are people who have done research studies. There are permanent bases in Antarctica, and their entire purpose is to do studies. These are people who are qualified to explore. These are people who are qualified to look at penguins, to look at the geographical features and learn things about it. Your dumb flat earth ass who doesn't even know the shape of the earth has no business trying to survive in this endless frozen hellscape. You would die. So stupid.
be a fucking international headline in about 5 minutes. Australian Navy ship shoots it.
Facing our way. Bad boys, shield.
Is it?
The turret is turning our way.
The turret's turning at us.
Boy, we should hide Adrian in case they think we're trying to kill him.
H-Beard says, you don't even need to be qualified if you have an extra $20,000. Oh, Antarctic Ice Marathon. $20,000. Wow, see, and that's in a much more central location if that's actually where it is. So there you go. Go run in Antarctica. That sounds awful to me, but hey, go do it. I've seen flat earthers spend $20,000 on laser ring gyroscopes that they don't even use correctly, so why not?
Going that way.
We're just traversing.
Is there a helicopter coming at us now?
I don't know where.
Just travel, just go.
Just go.
Send out the chopper.
That's a drone.
Is it? That's unreal.
When people say, why the lie? One of the main answers is they're hiding more land.
What if we can truly become free? The whole reason for this is because of more land. Because think about it, if there's more real estate, if there's more resources, natural resources, if there's more food for our starving children, if there's more...
There's already enough food in the world to feed everyone. Our allocation of resources is just dog shit. Secondly, if there were more land, then governments would just go take that land. We know this historically. If there was more land, you and your friend Billy Bob aren't going to sail there and plant a flag and own it. Because even if you did, then the United States or any other large military power would show up and be like, hey, this is ours now. You can pay taxes if you'd like and stay on this land, but it's ours. Because they can do that. That doesn't even make sense. Chitara says, let's say these flat earthers get to go to Antarctica and have free reign to roam the whole continent without a guide, since they seem to mistrust guided tours. My guess is that they would either go missing and die in the wilderness because it's a frozen hellscape, or they'd survive somehow and claim they actually weren't taken to Antarctica but some other place because they didn't find what was beyond the ice wall. Yeah, probably. The global crop can feed 12 billion people. We have 8 billion people currently. Yeah, I believe about half of America's food production gets thrown away alone. So, it's pretty gross.
More space, more room for us to get away from the child sex trafficking. If there's...
That's just random QAnon shit that's going on in this video. Jesus Christ. Yeah, just gloss past the QAnon talking point. That's fine.
Places where we can go and other civilizations we can be a part of, where they don't charge you for water, they don't charge you for free energy, they don't charge you for property taxes.
This is the weirdest socialist libertarian mix I've seen. They don't charge you for water, they don't charge you for electricity, and they don't make you pay property taxes. Also, free energy isn't a thing. Thermodynamically, it's a non-starter.
What if there is more land?
Nobody can go explore Antarctica, period. Because
objectively untrue.
If humanity found out there's more land, then the heliocentric theory is gone. They can't start adding more continents on the bottom of a ball. It's just... They wanted it silenced right away.
There is evidence out there through old maps, namely the 1,000-year-old Japanese Kawabashi map, which shows continents and lands outwardly of what...
There used to be sea monsters on a lot of maps too. That doesn't make it real. What?
They call the ice shelf or the ice wall.
So why are they teaching the globe model?
Is this extra land where the lizard people are, Hannah? No. We reside closer to the center of the Earth because we're cold-blooded, and near the center of the Earth is warmer. So we get to just chill out on molten rocks all day. It's pretty nice. The Wi-Fi reception isn't great, but, you know. They keep talking about bringing fiber internet down there, but Comcast keeps, you know, pulling us along. Assholes. Bittergrin says, if there were more land, it would be filled with oil derricks already. Yeep.
Well, you see, the globe is a container, and it's a container of all the known land. The Jesuits and the Freemasons, they needed a new model because they wanted a new world order.
Because right now on a ball or in a snow globe, there's only 7 continents. That's all there is. So everything is it's very limited. We have a limited supply.
Resources are very scarce because the Earth is a globe, right?
There's still tons of empty space on the Earth. There's plenty of space. Even if we had billions more people, there's enough space. We already have enough food. What are you talking about?
Cut off, everything's cut off. If you open it up and there is more land, then there's plenty of resources. More land means more resources. Well, that's huge if they're hiding something like that. There's a scene in The Truman Show.
Stone Corbell says, every human on Earth could fit into a landscape the size of Arizona. The issue is distribution.
Where Truman is like, I want to be an explorer when I get older.
I like to be an explorer, like the Great Magellan.
Oh, well, you're too late. There's really nothing left to explore.
Imagine if there's like all these beautiful places to explore still, and finding out that there's all this land, it just opens up the door.
I can imagine that. It would be interesting, but you would need to demonstrate that to be the case for me to think it is real. Just imagining something and thinking that'd be cool means nothing.
For discovery.
Bittergrin says, no cramming into Arizona. We have enough water problems. And Profane Priestess says, wait, lizard people live underground but have bad Wi-Fi? You're behind global warming so you can claim the surface, aren't you? Oh no, they're at my door. The truth is out there. Wake up, sheeple. We got him.
Again.
Have you ever heard of the eyewitness testimony written in the books, The Iron Republic, The Smoky God, Worlds Beyond the Poles?
Ah, yes. Those don't look like Amazon's self-published books at all.
In the late 1800s, there was a series of articles written in Florida Magazine about a politician that was tired of what was going on here, got a big ship and a crew, was exploring Antarctica, and he found a passageway through, and he popped out into the ocean, was lost for about a month. Finally, they found land with a city, and they pulled up, and it was a very advanced, quite different civilization. And
never trust anyone from Florida.
And very friendly, and they stayed there, and he writes about all the experiences he had there. In the late 1800s, they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica.
Remember, the word extraterrestrial means extra land. They're telling you that there's more land in here.
No, that's not what that means. Oh my god.
They don't.
Logarth says, since you're a lizard person in the entertainment industry, are you paid scale? Okay, that's pretty good.
Talk about.
There could be more land in some of the oceans where it's just all blue on the map. Nobody knows. You're not cruising around on
Neural Alchemist, thanks for 16 months.
big ships or flying over it on planes and looking, you know? Nobody's out there charting anything.
Have you heard of such a thing as
Nobody's out there charting anything. That's quite a claim. No one exists that does any sort of mapping of the world. Doesn't happen. Inti Pretzel says, that's your problem, Hannah. The reptilians are going through Comcast. They have a virtual monopoly over the center of the Earth. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I didn't zone for it. Austin Rosenberg says, is it Atlanta? And Larrykins says, so flat earthers now believe in more land. This is new to me. This has been one of the flat earth, like, hypotheses that's been out for a while. But it's interesting that they're going so much into it in this.
no-fly zones? For instance, you can't fly in certain areas near the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle.
Question, people think they're crazy already. Why not just say anti-Semitic stuff? Probably because they know they'll get banned and it'll turn people off even more. Genuinely. It's probably they're concerned about being banned. Stolen Corbell says, that guy with the beard and the Truth Seeker hat looks like someone I used to play Magic the Gathering with. I bet he's fun to smoke weed with, too. Probably.
The reasons being is because there are lands there that we're not supposed to know about. They don't want those lands to be discovered.
All these corrupt systems that are stealing money from us, kidnapping our children, just doing horrible things, they rely upon the cattle staying on the ranch, the slaves on the plantation. That's why Flat Earth is the most important knowledge we can obtain. It's because there is more land.
Don't look at us and say, go prove it.
It's kind of how the burden of proof works.
They won't allow us to go prove it.
What are you going to do to prove it?
We're not the lazy ones here. We're being restricted.
What are you going to do?
From going to prove this to you. So because of that, of course we're going to speculate. It's a red flag. If that's not a red flag to you, I don't know what is. They won't allow us to go. Allow us to go. If we go and there's nothing there, I'll admit I'm wrong.
Can we get a reality show together where we get this guy and some of his other flat Earth buddies and take him to Antarctica and, like, literally just let them do whatever they want? They get, like, 3 lifelines. One lifeline is Bear Grylls will show up for 10 minutes and show them how to do something survival-wise. The second lifeline will be... The second lifeline will be an airdrop of food. The third lifeline will be... We'll send an emergency chopper to pick you up, but you have to admit the Earth is round. Gitara says, wait. So if they're implying the extraterrestrials are actually the people that live in these hidden lands, why do they also think that when we find these lands that we'll have access to a utopia where everything is free? Surely they would at least charge us for tourism. They're gonna do a colonialism. They're gonna do an imperialism on the outside the wall people. Narnia Owl says, no, they're not the lazy ones, even though all they would need to do is, like, take one of those plane routes they claim doesn't exist or something.
Wrong. But all signs point to that they're hiding more land.
No, it doesn't!
Permission to do everything. You have to have permission to marry the love of your life.
I mean, if you want a state marriage, yeah. You could have a religious ceremony or even a non-religious commitment ceremony, but if you're talking about marriage in the civil sense, yes, because it's a contract that you're signing and, like, registering with the government. But you could have, like, a common law marriage or just, like, a marriage where you are married, but it's not a legal marriage. That's fine. Rageology says, and the fourth secret live line is just Gordon Ramsay, or lifeline is just Gordon Ramsay putting bread on either side of their heads and getting them to call themselves idiot sandwiches. Haven't I looked at a map, Hannah? The aliens all live in Rand McNally. I don't get it. Roland7 says, I'm going to bet this guy liked when marriage was even more restricted to straight people. Oof.
You have to have permission to travel down the road when we have the inalienable right to travel from point A to...
Oh no, he's a sovereign citizen! Yes, you need a license to drive an automobile on public roads. Bittergrin says, couldn't they just crowdfund some money, buy a sailboat, and go look? You'd think.
Point B. You people think you're free? You're not free. You're free-range chickens. That's what you are. You're free-range chickens held in an area.
Chicken.
You're not allowed to go past it. If not, you go to jail or you get shot. Stay on the plantation, do what you're supposed to do, pay your taxes, and shut up. Right?
Well, if there is more...
Well, these people really don't like taxes.
...land, and I sincerely believe that there is, then that's the perfect reason to lie to everybody. It's not just about hiding a place for more resources and where else we can go and dig for gas and gold. It's not about that.
Dig for gas and gold. Okay. Duggar White says, as an AV geek, I can explain the no-fly zones. Modern planes, while they can fly as far as hell, can only fly so far. 90% of the planes now are twin-engine jets, thus are limited on how far they can fly from an airport in the event of an emergency situation. This is called Extended Range Twin-Engine Operations Performance Standards, ETOPS for short. Planes like Boeing 777 and Airbus A350 can fly up to 370 minutes from an airport, which means Antarctica is a no-go. And India Owl says, just take out your shovel. There's gas in them dare hills.
Hiding freedom. They know that as soon as we all find out that there's another place to go without dictatorship, that we'd be gone.
All governments are dictatorships. I wonder if she'll feel the same way when she realizes she has to go and build out infrastructure for literally everywhere.
There's endless amounts of everything, and there's so much more land out there. And there's many places to explore, and they just want to keep us here in the middle of the pond, stuck here thinking that this is all there is.
What happens to the price of gold and all natural resources if there's more land? Gold can't go to $1 an ounce. Gasoline can't go to 20 cents a gallon. We can all have, you know, thousands of acres of land to ourselves.
I would not want thousands of... I don't want 2 acres of land to myself. What the hell? These people fundamentally want to live a very different life than me, apparently.
System crumbles. The entire system crumbles. Period.
On the other hand, we have the North, which is also off limits.
I went on my first official trip. I was going with my father and my grandpa Sinclair.
You know what? I actually haven't heard flat earthers talk about the North Pole very much, so this is interesting. Logarth says, airplanes literally fly over the North Pole all the time. South Pole isn't because there aren't any economic routes through the area. I'm under the impression that it's also an emergency landing thing. They try to stay over land as much as possible and near airports in case anything happens.
There, up to the North Pole. It was a very glamorous destination. I figured I was finally gonna...
You know, 2 hectares of land means you can grow your own food and be self-sufficient. I don't want to grow my own food and be self-sufficient. I want to be a member of a society.
Be led into the reason for the existence of this high-security Arctic base. That was exactly right. We drove slowly through and past the buildings on a special top-secret mission. And that's when I understood just how powerful and wonderful my father was.
The North Pole is a biggie. It's always been in my mind. I've juggled with the idea, is there hidden land? Could they have possibly hidden a continent in the Arctic Ocean, which is...
That was young Justin Trudeau. I know, it's hard to recognize him without the blackface.
Seemingly an ocean. They could hide land there. Many old maps will show you the Hyperborean, 4 continents, and in the center, Axis Mundi. And I think that's what's there. I think there is Mount Meru. And I think that gives off an acoustic device.
There's definitely something special going on up there, and if you just think about that long enough, why do compasses point north? I mean, that's...
Compasses point north because the way compasses work is they align themselves with the magnetic field of the Earth. So, if you have a compass that's an actual analog compass, it's done in such a way that I don't know what the different parts of a compass are called, I apologize. The arrow part, the thing that points, the red side will point north and the other side will point south. The fact that we, like, paint the side that points north red is arbitrary. It's just that it aligns itself with the Earth's magnetic poles. The needle, sure.
Really?
Oh, Tucker White says, I should clarify that the cone of no-fly zone of Antarctica, as far as ETOPS is concerned, is rather small in proportion to Antarctica. It's like what Logarth said, there's no real passenger-heavy routes that necessitates flying over Antarctica.
Wild in itself. What if we all took our compasses out and just followed them until it stops?
It would take a long time, but yeah, eventually you'd hit magnetic north if you were able to do so.
A compass will always point
north, towards the magnetic north. There's some kind of force or some type of energy, frequency.
Electromagnetism. It's called electromagnetism. We know what it is.
A vibration that's pulling that needle to the north.
It's crazy to think
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
that all compasses are pointing north to the North Pole. No compass points south.
Every compass points south. If a compass is pointing north, by definition, it is also pointing south. Holy fucking shit, these people. Compass. Okay, so here's a picture of a compass. You see how the red one is pointing what's supposed to be north? The blue side is pointing south. We just paint one side red and say that's north. But it's also pointing south! Here's a picture of a real compass. This one appears like the north is painted blue. So see how that's pointing north? The white is pointing south. Literally every compass in the world points south. It's pointing north and south at the same time. Good God. Narnia says, fun fact, compasses also always point south. Bittergrin says also it's not even hard to remagnetize a compass, so the colored end points south.
There is no South Pole. There's no compass that's going to go south. And no, it's come pass. Come to the north.
I fucking hate these people. They're so dumb.
There's something there. I think we could all agree there's something there. And it's crazy that they cover it up. They've covered it up for so long.
There's ancient civilizations, the Nordics. There's people have talked about, you know, the Rupert Nigra, the Mount Meru, the giant magnetic mountain at the center.
An entire magnetic mass or a mountain that is strong enough to make everybody's compass point north.
They think there's a giant magnetic mountain at the top of the Earth. Oh, sorry, I guess to them this would be the center of the Earth. Yikes.
When I was a kid in school, they showed us a National Geographic video of the guys getting to the North Pole.
That went south fast.
And they just basically made it look so horrible.
It went north fast, obviously. Sheba Hawk with a lens.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
Wonder who was gonna send that. Rageology says, I only just got here and this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm looking forward to them trying to get their new lands by going north and ending up trying to colonize Russia.
Miserable and dark and cold that no kid ever in his life would go, hey, I want to go to the North Pole.
So if you watch any
a ton of kids want to go to the North Pole. It's where Santa lives.
Documentary about the North Pole or anybody venturing to the North Pole, all you're gonna find is some dude mobbing on an ice sheet and he's got a little device in his hand. He's like, 3, 2, 1, North Pole. And that's not the North Pole, man. That's bull.
That's the North Pole! What are you talking about? Just because it's not interesting to you doesn't make it not the case.
Bullshit.
I just don't know what this is.
It's a map. My father showed me a...
Why are they referencing the movie The Dark Tower? Who even saw The Dark Tower?
A map like this once. Inside the circle is your world and my world. Many others. No one knows how many. The Dark Tower stands center of all things. And it stood there from the beginning of time. And it sends out powerful energy.
Those are the Northern Lights. We also understand how those work. Overthought says, these people are morons. If you speak with enough confidence, you could tell them the Easter Bunny is a gatekeeper of the ice wall you get from Elvis and Bigfoot, and they'd run with it. Tucker White says, Christ, Idris Elba will say yes to any film, won't he? Hey, he's Knuckles the Echidna, okay? Don't besmirch his name. Unintendo says, dry land is not a myth. I understood that reference. And Argonian Bum, thanks for 21 months, says, time is a squircle.
I think that there's possibly a North Pole hole, part of the electromagnetic torus, which gives off a green light, which you see as the Northern Lights.
The North Pole is the center of the Earth. It is a hyperbola. Because we live in a toroidal field solar system, there must be a plane of inertia intersecting it in the middle, and there must be a hyperbola, hourglass, in the middle. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, it calls this Mount Meru. And why...
We're not playing bingo, but if we were, that would be word salad. Jitara says, interesting fact, we just so happen to live during a time where the magnetic poles exist at their current polarity. So of course, as far as we've been around, the North Pole has always been magnetic north, but these poles can slowly shift over time. Apparently, in the last time they shifted, humans didn't even exist yet. Yes, I have heard of that.
We're not allowed to go anywhere near there? Well, simply because you cannot go there.
I agree you cannot go there. You cannot go to fictional locations. Bittergrin says, wait, if the Northern Lights are proof that the North Pole is the center, what does that make the Southern Lights? Shh, we're not going to talk about those.
It is a magnetic toroidal hyperbola. Therefore, there is no way that you can fly anywhere near the North Pole in the center of the Earth.
Admiral Richard Byrd said he found more land, in the north as well as the south. There's a book called The Smoky God of a father and son that ended up finding more land in a race of giants with technology beyond your wildest imagination. Cartographers have charted, maps with land in the center, where all compasses point. There's just a lot of evidence pointing to more land. So yeah, 100%. I would put my life on it if there's more land at the north.
Don't put your life on that, please. I'm sure your family loves you very much. Profane Priestess says, okay, so one of these people referenced Hyperborea. For those who don't know, that comes from Hellenistic mythology. It's literally as real and as nonsensical as a fascist Aryan myth. It's very similar, in fact, a mythological utopia of immortal and divinely blessed people that the Greeks said were the blessed and godlike chosen race of Apollo. These people are so stupid, and I want to cry into my education in anthropology. Glass Cannon Studio, thank you very much. And Dr. Butler asks, if the Earth is actually flat, what benefit is it for world leaders to collaborate to maintain that secret? Why? The theological answer, if you're a theological flat earther, is that they're trying to hide the truth of creation to you and hide the fact that there's a God. If you're a non-theistic flat earther, then in this documentary, they're at least claiming it's to hide all the extra land from people so they can have control over their subjects. So take your poison, I guess. Nernandia Owl says, I wonder what Bird would say if he were alive today about all these people misinterpreting his words. I imagine he would be upsetty spaghetti, is the technical term.
It's just as heavily guarded as the South.
Can't go check the North and yeah, let me go check. I'll take some pictures and videos and come back.
Dr. Butler, thanks for
following. You're not even gonna get that close. You're gonna be turned around.
In Glass Cannon Studio, thanks for following.
All the way up until the 1600s, they had 4 land masses around the North Pole region, and right after the 1600s is when it's...
No one had been there. They were making shit up.
Slowly started disappearing until finally it was all gone. And you can verify this for yourself if you just go back before the 1600s and look at maps of all sorts. You'll see these land masses on each one, and then sure thing...
You know, on old maps, they used to show all kinds of spooky sea monsters and things that said, here there be dragons. Now they're not on maps anymore. I go to Google Maps. There are 0 dragons. They're hiding the dragons from us, chat. Hashtag show us the dragons.
These land masses just started being deleted from history. So what are they hiding at the North Pole?
If we sit back and observe all of this evidence, this eyewitness testimony, the verdict would come back guilty. It would come back guilty.
Oh, they don't understand how the burden of proof works. They don't understand science, and they don't understand American jurisprudence. H-Baird says, until Russia closed its airspace, it was quite common to fly to China over the North Pole. When it went, or rather when I went, it was super cloudy, but he could try to get lucky and look out. Overthought says, presents. They're hiding presents. Narnia the Owl says, they're also hiding all those giant babies blowing the wind onto the map. Bittergrin says, I looked it up. You can get a decent sailboat for the ocean travel for less than $80,000. They could pool some money and actually go prove it. That's not that crazy. Flat Earth groups have raised at least $20,000 before to buy a ring laser gyroscope that actually showed them the Earth was round, but they chose to disregard that because it goes against their beliefs. And they put on conventions regularly, which are pretty expensive. So if every flat earther got together and pooled money, they could do it. But that's difficult. So.
Okay. You are moving 1,000 miles an hour as Earth rotates. You are moving 18.
They have such a hate boner for Neil deGrasse Tyson. And you don't have to like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've heard he's an asshole. But nonetheless, he's a science communicator. He misspeaks sometimes. He says some odd statements sometimes, and he's not always right, but nonetheless, his job is basically he goes out and he talks to people about science. It's not a bad thing, though I've heard he's kind of a dick. Maps and Mimic says, as a hobbyist cartographer, this is hilarious. People used to map Australia with giant inland seas. Cartographers back when we would absolutely just make shit up, and it would catch on and basically go viral with other map makers, and they would just copy the popular features. That sounds like a fun job.
What's it, 18 miles per second in orbit around the sun, and you don't feel any of that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
You don't feel any of that. If it's trying to fling you off the Earth,
okay,
but the force of gravity is resisting back, by what force is it trying to fling you off? That upward centrifugal force subtracts from the gravitational force that the Earth is trying to put on you. It subtracts.
Okay.
So, Chuck, what do you weigh here and now?
192 pounds. Yeah.
I'll give you the 190 pounds, okay?
Okay.
So if you do the math, you run to Ecuador, because we're in the Western Hemisphere, so let's stay there. You run to Ecuador, you will not be 190 pounds. You'll be like 185 pounds.
What?
That's how significant it is.
That's
if I did my math correct, and I think I did, there are pounds less that you weigh for living on the equator.
That's true, that's interesting.
Than for living anywhere else.
And I'd believe it. Again, there are things he said that are incorrect, but that sounds like something that he would know. Stone Corbell says, if I put goofy music over someone talking about science, it means it's ridiculous.
Simply because the spinning...
It is true.
Earth is trying to fling you off.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
If the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour in a curved trajectory, we're dropping at a rate of miles per minute, but somehow none of that inertia affects these rocks here, which are...
It's a consistent motion.
Perfectly balanced.
The fact...
Like, literally, you don't feel motion, you feel acceleration.
is, the Earth is stationary, and that is scientific, not...
Motion is relative. Relative to the Earth, everything seems stationary because we're on it. We're all moving with it at the exact same time. So is the atmosphere. Narnandia Owl says, yeah, weight isn't a universal constant. You also weigh slightly less the further up you are. Yeah, your mass is consistent. Your weight is relative.
Pseudoscience. In 1879, George Airy, Astronomer Royal for 49 years.
I like that they often cite people from the 1800s. There's been no science since then. Maps and Mimic says, I stack rock, so Earth flat. Duh.
Who did a telescope experiment and proved that the Earth was stationary.
Oh no! It's an ether experiment. Yeah, the aether was a disproven scientific hypothesis back in the day.
And we have
Parallax.
But is there a downward bias? You know, I'm thinking there might be a downward bias.
Also known as Robotham, who carried out an experiment in the late 1800s on the Bedford Levels experiment, where he went a distance of 6 miles, which should have showed up.
These have been debunked before. Simon Dan has done this. Planar Walk has done this, I'm pretty sure. This has been debunked multiple times.
Some sort of curvature of around 16 foot. No curvature was seen at all.
Then we have Michelson, Morley and Sagnac in the early 1900s with their interferometers using light instead of telescopes this time. And with their interferometer experiments, they proved that the ether over the Earth, the field, is moving and the Earth is stationary.
Pretty sure the Michelson-Morley experiment is the one that disproved that an aether exists at all? Let's look this up real quick. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that's what that experiment did. Michelson-Morley. Thank you, Tucker White. The Michelson-Morley experiment was an attempt to detect the existence of the luminiferous aether, a supposed medium permeating space that was thought to be the carrier of light waves. The experiment was performed between April and July 1887 by American physicist Albert A. Michelson and Edward W. Morley at what is now Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, and published in November of the same year. The experiment compared the speed of light in perpendicular directions in an attempt to detect the relative motion of matter through the stationary luminiferous aether wind. The result was negative, in that Michelson and Morley found no significant difference between the speed of light in the direction of movement through the presumed aether and the speed at right angles. This result is generally considered to be the first strong evidence against the then prevalent aether theory, as well as initiating a line of research that eventually led to special relativity, which rules out a stationary aether. Of this experiment, Einstein wrote, "If Michelson-Morley experiment had not brought us into serious embarrassment, no one would have regarded the relativity theory as a halfway redemption." Michelson-Morley type experiments have been repeated many times with steady increasing sensitivity. These include experiments from 1902, 1905, a series of experiments in the 1920s. More recently, in 2009, optical resonator experiments confirmed the absence of any aether-like wind at the 10 to the negative 17th power level, which is very tiny. Together with the Ives, Stilwell, and Kennedy Thorndike experiments, Michelson-Morley type experiments form one of the fundamental tests of special relativity theory. So they're citing Michelson-Morley, which was one of the foundational experiments in disproving the hypothesis of the luminiferous aether. So they're saying it proved it when it did the exact opposite. It was a foundational experiment, and them going, "Oh shit! The aether isn't real! Oh no!" Adia Blue says, "I attuned to the Ethereate for the next town and could travel through the live stream. Aether provably makes up all matter and magic in Erzea, and now I sound like I know what I'm talking about too, but I don't."
We also had Michelson-Gale. They did an experiment in the 1930s and proved that the Earth is stationary.
One of the greatest science experiments of all time, in my opinion, is from Marconi. Marconi, in 1901, set up transmitters.
Oh, this is going to be about the radio towers thing. Andy Pretzel says, "Speaking of space, Spelljammer is coming to 5e. Buckle up and remember not to use anything furs related, barring Sacred Flame. In space, the phlogiston tends to explode when exposed to fire." Oh boy, lots of proper nouns today.
To send radio waves, like signals, wireless signals across the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, okay?
Spoilers, they thought that they wouldn't be able to send them because of the curvature of the Earth getting in the way, when in reality they were able to because the waves bounced off the atmosphere, so you could effectively send a signal, boop, bounce it off the atmosphere, and get it elsewhere on the planet, which is very convenient, but also shows that the Earth is in fact round, because that's what they have to do in order to get the radio signals to actually work effectively. Adia Blue says, "No, you can have them back," in response to Roland, whatever Roland said.
So he has one set up in Europe and one set up in Canada, okay? And They're sending signals. I think the letter S.
Can't
was
say the
first
S
one.
word.
Boom. And it worked.
Radiology with 50-bit says, but Hannah, he's wearing the beads of wisdom and the beanie of insight. How can he be wrong?
Almost 2,000 miles across the ocean, they got the signal. There's no curvature. You're talking about 600 miles.
Yes, which they then later understood to be because it bounced off the atmosphere, which is how they still have to do things like that today.
Of curvature between the...
Are they not even going to bring it up? Do we think they're not even going to bring up the actual explanation for this?
2 points. But it worked.
Yeah, Marconi was a fanboy of Benito Mussolini.
Because all water's level? I don't even know if he was trying to talk about that at the time. It was just more about his technology that he was coming out with. And have you learned about that in school? No.
Then we have Pierluigi Gina, a colleague of Marconi. And before he died, he showed people in his laboratory how the Earth is stationary. You can go to my channel, Mr. Astrotheology, and you can see videos of Mr. Pierluigi Gina proving in his laboratory with strobe lights how you can prove quite easily that the Earth is stationary.
Every scientific experiment throughout
Not going to go into it, though. Interesting.
time looking for axial rotation or curvature has proven the opposite. They don't teach this in schools. Any
literally just lying.
Observation, when you go outside on a calm morning, you can see a perfectly glass lake. And your senses will tell you that, nothing is moving.
The lake is on the Earth. We're all moving at the same speed of the Earth. Motion is relative. So if us and the Earth are all moving at the exact same speed, which we are, then that's a net zero motion, at least from our perspective. Stone Corbell says, we talked about stuff like this in some of my history classes, but we talked about how they were debunked. Also, this music. Come on, guys, you're trying way too hard to make yourself sound heroic. Yeah.
Stationary Earthers, we have science, real science.
No, you don't.
On our side, and the Globies have pseudoscience. In fact, all they have is Einstein saying, I have come to believe that no optical experiment can prove that the Earth is moving. And yet, the Earth is moving.
Science!
Yeah, Albert.
I've literally never heard anyone cite that except for flat earthers. I don't say, oh, you know how I know the Earth is round? Einstein said a thing one time. That's not how things work.
Einstein. I always recommend people go watch Albert Einstein in his interviews. He's reading cue cards. He's reading notes.
Yeah? People read speeches. What are you talking about? The man was a mathematician and physicist, not a public speaker. He's allowed to read cards. Overthought says, do these people think that if they throw a ball while on a bullet train that they threw it hundreds of miles per hour? I honestly don't know. I think this has been brought up to them before, and I don't know what they say about it.
Someone handed him, kind of like people on TV nowadays.
There is no optical experiment ever been conducted that can prove that the Earth is moving.
This is literally a camera on the ISS. Roland says, Einstein's relativity theory predicted clocks on high-speed jets moving at different speeds, also nuclear energy, I guess. And Gitara says, technically Einstein was wrong about even that quote. You could do an optical experiment, and technically speaking we have. We've taken pictures of Earth from freaking Mars, and over time the Earth is at different points in the sky. Yeah.
The Earth is spinning at 1,040 miles an hour. You can't feel it. You can't measure.
Correct. You also can't feel like if you're on a bullet train moving 200 miles an hour and it's at a steady speed, you don't feel like you're going fast. You feel acceleration and negative acceleration, also known as deceleration. You do not feel motion, you feel acceleration.
Measure it. You can't observe it. You can't repeat it. But trust us, there's not one experiment.
You can observe it and repeat it. You can go on, like I said, a train moving very fast or an airplane moving at a consistent speed. Like, how do you not understand this? Have you driven in a car before on cruise control on a very smooth highway?
Experiment that shows the Earth is spinning or moving whatsoever. There is, however, an experiment that was proven in Behind the Curve.
Bob Nodell was talking about the ring laser gyro, showing that there is...
Oh my god, they're gonna talk about the time they accidentally proved that the Earth is round with the ring laser gyroscope I was talking about earlier. They're gonna try and debunk it?
Is apparent 15 degrees drift throughout most of the day.
When we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15 degree per hour drift.
Thanks, Bob.
And this was taken out of context. It was later, the experiment was done at a higher altitude, and it showed a different rotation speed, which absolutely proves it's not the Earth that's moving, that it's the ether that is spinning above us.
Netflix is mainstream. Netflix is the alternative mainstream narrative. Netflix can't go against the grain.
So their evidence is, we did it later and it came out different. Trust us, bro.
They'll lose their contract.
A documentary, like a mockumentary. I'm sure someone watched our movie and was like, whoever made this movie is a government shill, and they're just trying to hide it. Netflix is in on it, trying to hide it.
Yeah,
he accidentally proves that the Earth is round.
It was the biggest mic drop. It was the biggest mic drop. And I love that you kind of cut it.
The thing is, we have technology that is outrunning their lies. Now we have time lapse. Ooh, imagine that. We have time lapse where we can point at the sky, and year after year, day after day, hour after hour, the sky's spinning.
Stars appear to move because the Earth is rotating. The atmosphere, while it is moving along with the Earth, also has its own atmospheric conditions that change the places of things like clouds. H-Baird says, wait, they say that the ether is moving to explain the gyro, but they also cite the Michelson-Morley experiment to show no motion, which was designed to measure ether.
Every day there should be different stars.
No, there shouldn't. We are moving very slow relative to the size of the... Okay. We are in a galaxy. We are on an arm of the Milky Way. So we're on an arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy is continually spinning. Like this, though obviously not this quickly. This is just a GIF to show the speed. The stars that we see with our naked eye are all also in the Milky Way galaxy, right? At least the ones that we see with, like, our bare eyes, okay? So it's all moving together, and the amount that we move during a human lifetime is not enough to see a difference in the relative position of stars relative to the location of Earth, because they're so far away. You know how in a car, have you ever been a passenger in a car and you look and maybe across a farm field or something, or if you just have a long distance you can look, there's a phenomenon in which stuff very close to you, like the side of the road, whatever, appears to be moving very quickly in its perspective, like things will very fast. But if you look far away, like a tree in the far distance, maybe miles away, it doesn't look like it's moving that fast, even though you're still moving, you know, pretty fast. It's because it's further away from you. The further away something is from you, the less you're going to notice perspective shifts. The stars are much further away than that tree by light years. Within a human lifespan, you are never going to see the stars move like that, like they're describing. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of how things work. Rageology says, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and also some smugly wrong flat earthers with the sight of me. I could use that lever to no, can't read that. Tea with Goblin says, what you said about the monsters at the edge of old maps jogged a memory. I wrote my PhD about monsters, and as I recall, a conference talk about the phenomenon of monstrous cartographies. By representing lands outside of Europe as inhabited by strange and scary creatures, colonial map makers could portray the people living there as monstrous. Here is the book if interested. Ooh. Rosalind Faye says, humans, comes up with a methodology created to correct our limited human sentences. Thrash Mio says, all they have to do is point to the opposite celestial pole that they did their first time-lapse on and see it spin the wrong way. Rosalind Faye says, flat earthers, my senses! And Replicant, thank you for 100 bits.
Random stars.
How are we not even halfway through this thing? Tea with Goblin says, space is big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the chemists, but that's just peanuts to space. Douglas Adams. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
In the sky, if we are traveling at 650 million miles an hour, which is Mach 870,000, do you really believe that every year we move through space at 5.5 trillion miles every year?
Yes.
And yet every year the same stars keep turning over our Earth.
Yes, they're very far away, and we're all in the Milky Way galaxy.
Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, year after year after year, and yet none of those constellations distort, change shape, get brighter. There has never been...
Over a long period of time, things will change, but not within human lifespans that we can detect. Or, well, actually, you can detect it very slightly, but it's not detectable, again, via the naked eye. You need, like, telescopes that have very, very precise measurements in order to detect the movement.
In recorded history, we have never seen any star get brighter or dimmer.
That's objectively untrue.
Or any shape of those constellations, which are still recognizable today as they were thousands of years ago, they never suffer any parallax or distortion.
Polaris has never moved in all of recorded history. Point your camera up at Polaris and do a time lapse and watch God's perfect timepiece.
Yeah, it's like parallel, perpendicular, whatever, to the axial, like, tilt of the Earth. So it's always at a pole. Jitara says, the constellations don't even look the same as they did when they were named thousands of years ago, so citing the constellations as proof of Earth being stationary doesn't work either. Also, the pole star has changed and will change again. It just takes thousands of years because, again, cosmologically speaking, everything moves, like, real slow. At least relative to human timescales.
Spin a bucket.
And we move.
Yeah, axial precession. It's because, like, that the Earth is kind of wobbling. Like, we're on a, again, it's very slow, so you're not gonna like detect this on your own, but like the Earth kind of has a wobble, so it kind of moves back and forth between what the pole star is, and currently it's Polaris. In 2,000 years it's something else, and some thousands of years ago it was a different star, and then it kind of goes back and forth.
5,694,000,000 miles through space every year. Congratulations to you if you
Space is big. I don't think they understand how big space is.
believe that. It's called education, indoctrination, and dumbing down.
If you look back in history, you got Universal, their company. They started off with a logo with a globe in it, but it wasn't until like the 1920s that they actually had the motion one where it was a spinning globe. And they actually had an airplane in the early ones, like leaving a chemtrail that said Universal, which is kind of funny.
It's supposed to be skywriting. Overthought says, arguing with these people about how small they are in the grand scheme of the universe.
I rendezvous with Star Command. You are a toy!
Nobody has been...
Profane Priestess says, these people just can't comprehend the true scale of the galaxy and universe operates at, and that's really sad to me. I'm an atheist, but I found that kind of thing can be really fascinating, and for lack of a better term, spiritual. Makes me sad that they can't, nay, refuse to experience that. I honestly pity them. How can we help these people? We can't.
High enough to...
In my opinion, we can't. They just want to believe what they want to believe.
Even see what it looked like. They were definitely trying to instill the image of a globe in people's heads, because obviously early on in the movie industry they were one of the most popular companies to make movies, so people were going to the theater and seeing this globe.
So
Are they under the impression that people hadn't seen images of the globe prior to Universal Studios coming to prominence as one of the big studios? What?
showing you a globe before every single movie to program your mind. They were showing this globe before they even went up there to see what it was. I think the first man ever to go up and check is Picard going up there. I mean, that's a story we're not taught in school.
Tucker White says, so does this mean that Universal Studios' God's Not Dead 3 is round Earth propaganda? Yep.
From the practical point of view, Professor Picard's experiment is of the highest possible importance.
These timelines, these dates, these are facts.
We got August Picard coming out in the 1930s in an actual publication by a science journal saying that the Earth looks like a flat disk with an upturned edge.
He says it seemed a flat disc with an upturned edge. He's saying it looked like that. He's not saying it is that.
Besides Universal programming you, you had Walt Disney programming you with space documentaries for almost 15 years straight.
Some pretty crazy propaganda in the 1950s. There was one called Man in Space. He's talking about taking men to the moon in a rocket. And then if we cruise on, we got Richard E. Byrd. He goes on Longines chronoscope, and he's sitting down and he's telling people...
Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
Shortly after Richard E. Byrd did that interview, they put the Antarctic Treaty in place, and then 1 year later, NASA is established.
Almost 0 hour at Cape Canaveral, and enlarged 16mm pictures show a monkey specially trained and conditioned for voyaging in space. 2 monkeys had been selected for the job. They called them Abel and Baker, A and B, of course.
Those apes died. Least probably.
In fact, the monkeys came down safely near Antigua.
Oh no, good, okay.
Reported none the worse, after blazing the trail for human space travel.
Unless they lied and they died and they just wanted to say they lived.
They come in and they're the gatekeepers for your mind. Like, they're making sure that people think that they live on a spinning ball, and that's their sole purpose. That it has always been their sole purpose.
Oh, I like when they show the streaming glitches. Let me say this as someone who streams for a living. Streaming glitches are not a conspiracy. They just happen. They're literally streaming live footage from space. Give them a break. Yeah, that'll happen. It's not sending new information about those pixels, so it kind of drags because it's trying to update and refresh those pixels, but it's not getting any new information from the stream in that moment. Like, do they not understand how artifacts work? Like, these are literally streaming artifacts. They're sending it from fucking space!
That is the magic of engineering.
Bittergren says they don't understand how anything else works. Why would they understand video processing? Yeah.
I would wear a mask on my face in a nanosecond, but unfortunately we lost the technology.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming.
NASA is hiding the frickin' flatness of the Earth. Why? It's okay to say, I have a fisheye lens, right? Because, yeah, fisheye lenses are useful. You know, you get more, you know, in architecture or, you know, real.
These people know there are space agencies other than NASA, right? Europe has a space agency. Russia has a space agency. China has a space agency. India has a space agency. Israel has a space agency. I don't know what other countries do. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. Stone Corbell says, blaring sinister music over footage of NASA. I'm an editing god. And Jitara says, the Land Before Time films are not only round Earth propaganda, but also old Earth propaganda. My proof, those films were distributed by, you guessed it, Universal Studios. Coincidence? I think not. Japan.
But when you're doing it too much, and you're not really coming out and saying why, questions build up.
Elon Musk has a space agency. Jeff Bezos has a space agency. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot the billionaire oligarch assholes. Richard Branson's barely counts. Richard Branson has been trying to get into space for like years, and then he got absolutely lapped by Elon Musk and B-grade Lex Luthor, who owns Amazon. So I find that pretty funny.
In 1923, a fisheye lens was invented. So these space agencies had a heads up already. And the fisheye lens was originally, I think, $27,000 to purchase. And this is in 1923. I mean, today that's about, what, 100 grand, 200 grand equivalent in cost? And people would tell me...
Sorry, my tooth hurts. I know it's gross. I keep sticking my finger in my mouth.
Hippler, I'll give you that. NASA is a lying government entity, right? But what about Red Bull? Red Bull's just an energy drink.
Tucker White says, so NASA, which even at the height of the space race had a fraction of the military's budget, is smart enough to propagate this giant conspiracy about the Earth, but can't get cameras that don't F up. And Anti-Pretzel says, if you want an example of how tiny you are to the universe, imagine being shrank down to the size of the building blocks of a subatomic particle, then compare yourself to the size of Russia. You would not be able to possibly comprehend just how infinitesimally tiny you are compared to all of the reality beyond Earth.
And I saw Felix Baumgartner jump out of the space capsule. Flat Earthers did a great job of debunking that. Of course it's a fisheye lens, it's not even a question. What most people don't know is that Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, the science priest of modern day, that everybody loves and they listen to him. Oh, he's so smart.
A lot of people like Neil deGrasse Tyson because he's a science communicator who comes off as charismatic a lot of the time. Again, I've heard, like, in person, he's an asshole. Kind of seems smug. But either way, people like him because they like science.
Well, he is a smart man in the sense of he knows that we debunked the shit out of that.
And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, Felix Baumgartner, edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
Flat earthers, and I've seen this multiple times, fundamentally do not understand how big the Earth is and do not understand how far away you have to be in order to see the curvature of the Earth. It's a huge problem.
We exposed Felix Baumgartner. That's a complete fisheye lens. There's no curvature at all on this Earth, let alone they're trying to sell it as 23 miles up, there's curvature. Even though people will sit there and swear they saw curvature out of an airplane 10 miles high. Yeah, okay. So your priest Neil deGrasse Tyson admits 23 miles up, no curve.
He says it doesn't appear to have a curve. It's still curved whether you're miles and miles up or you're on the ground. It's about your perception of it from specific heights.
How do you feel about that? All right, maybe you say that's no big deal. Okay. Even though Felix Baumgartner himself said he could see the curvature of the Earth.
It's almost overwhelming. When you're standing there in a pressure suit, the only thing that you hear is yourself breathing. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the sky is totally black. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the curve.
It's possible he felt he saw a curve even if he didn't, because he's... How do I put this? He's really high up and about to jump. So I don't know what his anxiety was doing. Or he could just be straight up saying that because it's a big promotional stunt for Red Bull.
Curvature of the Earth.
You can see the curvature of the Earth.
That's 120,000 feet, 4 times higher than most passenger planes fly.
So that should make you go, right away, what's going on here? Who's lying, right? But you don't think there's an agenda here? You don't think people are lying?
I think the agenda there was to sell Red Bull.
Lying here. Fast forwarding to recently, Richard Branson, his ugly ass, Mr. Billionaire himself.
Officially the first billionaire to travel to space, so Richard Branson.
So you go 63 miles up, you would all probably assume that, of course, you could see this giant curve of Earth.
No, I think Richard Branson's was bullshit. I don't count Richard Branson's as being the first, like, billionaire to go to space. Not that I really give a shit about this whole, like, billionaire oligarch dick measuring contest with space stuff. But I don't think Richard Branson should count.
Earth, you're 63 miles up. Holy shit. Richard Branson supposedly goes up 63 miles, even though it's nothing but fisheye lens footage. We exposed that. Here comes Neil deGrasse Tyson again. Damage control time.
Oh, by the way, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Do you know how high up above the Earth he was?
No.
So if you take a
63 miles.
Oh, yeah, right. So take a schoolroom globe, and that's how high above it is he? So he's about 2 millimeters above the surface of a schoolroom globe.
Yes, again, pointing out the absolute sheer magnitude of the size of the Earth. Yeah, 62 miles up is not very far from the Earth. The Earth is huge. Again, it's a lot for a person. Just in general, it's not far. The Earth is huge. Flat Earthers fundamentally do not understand how big the Earth is.
So nobody has seen the curvature of the Earth from that height. I just want to make that clear.
You can't see the curve out of an airplane.
Yeah, you can even see...
Right? 10 miles. You agree? I hope you agree so far. Okay. Right?
Even here, you can see the fisheye lens because it's actually concave here. Because depending on which way something is in the lens, on a fisheye lens, straight lines can appear curved either way. So it's actually slightly concave there.
I just want to make that clear.
You can't see the curve out of an airplane. Right? 10 miles. You agree? I hope you agree so far. Okay. So 10 miles up, no curve. Red Bull 23.
Tucker White says, wait, what part of that was Dr. Tyson saying the Earth is flat? He's not. They're trying to cherry pick and make it sound like he is, when in reality he's talking about the fact that, again, the Earth is very, very big. You have to go very, very far up in order to see the curvature, because it's huge.
3 miles up, no curve. Branson, 63 miles up, no curve. So, where is this curve at that you swear by?
I've shown this image before. Flat Earth basketball. So I don't know if you know this, but any sphere, if you look at it close enough, looks flat. And this is the same phenomenon that's happening. Oh gosh, why didn't that bring up the thing I wanted? Flat Earth basketball. Close up. Here we go. So this is some photo someone took to kind of make a point. If you look at anything close up enough and it's a sphere, it looks flat. And this distance up from the basketball is much higher than like Richard Branson's thing was to the Earth, if you again account for the scale of the things. This is a basketball, something that we know is round. We know basketballs are round when they're inflated. But if you look at it close enough, you're only getting a certain section of it, and it looks flat. Perception and reality can be two different things because our perceptions are flawed. You need to be very far away from the Earth in order to see the curvature. Luckily, we have literally been to the moon. So once you get far enough away, yeah, the Earth is flipping round.
Because if you live on a ball, I don't care how big the ball is, it could be 4 times the size of what they told us, you would still see a physical...
Not from those distances!
...curve at some point. That's what...
At some point, yes, and we do, but none of the examples you listed were high enough up.
Horizon's supposed to be. That's how the sun is going. I mean, there's a curve of the Earth. All these theories involved with the curve of the Earth get thrown out the window.
That's what happens with a new company.
This is the fiction section. Fiction means it's a made-up story. Oh, hey, Elmo, I bet we can find your Galactic Gale comic book here. Oh, boy, Elmo, hope so.
We all know who our enemies are. They are called the globalists.
Dog whistle, dog whistle.
With their false idol that they give children on the teacher's table at kindergarten, the false globe of the global agenda.
People are just deceived. I mean, I grew up from kindergarten. There's a globe. My kids, they graduated from kindergarten and it was a freaking globe. They gave them a globe at graduation to take home like an inflatable beach ball. And I was looking at that thing going, oh my God.
We are taught that the Earth is a ball before we can talk. In school, there's a globe in the class. One of the first worksheets we get is a sheet on the orbits of the planets and the sun. And I actually still remember that sheet. I did it, I got it right, I was so proud of myself. Sesame Street has astronauts on, Disney, it's all globe programming. So your entire world belief is around this.
If you think about it, they've gotten us at a very, very young age with the line.
Or it's all just demonstrations of reality, because in school you learn about the world that you live on. You learn about reality, and fiction uses elements of reality. So like Mickey Mouse being dressed as an astronaut doesn't mean astronauts are fake any more than Mickey Mouse being firefighter means firefighters are fake. You get what I'm saying?
Before we have any critical thought, the capability of thinking for ourselves, they teach us lies from the very beginning, from Tooth Fairy, Santa, dinosaurs.
Oh no, they don't believe in dinosaurs!
You know, with Santa, for instance, I mean, we're taught this lie, you better be good. We need you to stay in line and be good. Don't be naughty, be nice. You want to be on that nice list. Santa will come and bring you this material gifts, and then fast forward, you find out Santa isn't real. For, 5, 6, 7 years, however long the lie went on for, you've been conditioned a certain way, to act a certain way, so you'll fall in line. You'll do exactly what mommy and daddy tell you, what the teachers tell you. And when you realize that lie, it's subconsciously, you're taught at that point, it's okay to lie.
No, you're not. Mice are fake because of Mickey Mouse. True. Gitara says, then they don't believe in dinosaurs. I was joking about the land before time thing. Oh my god. Roland says, discovering that Santa doesn't exist encourages critical thought. Different people have different thoughts about the whole Santa thing. I don't like to step into it. I don't care what you do and teach your kid.
It's okay to lie. It's okay to accept lies. It's okay for people to lie to you. It's okay for you to lie. So the whole world is a fucking liar. Everyone's a fucking liar now. Because they were taught at a very young age it's okay to lie. They get you with these lies of Tooth Fairy.
Here's my thought. I don't think it teaches you that it's okay to lie. In my experience, the whole Santa thing is a good exercise in critical thought. Not that it's okay to lie, but that sometimes you are going to be told things that aren't necessarily true. In Santa, in terms of everything, even as a kid, when I found out Santa wasn't real, I understood that it wasn't like a malicious lie. It wasn't something they were doing to be mean. It was, you know, a nice magical thing for kids that then you get to go on and do for kids yourself, even if you're not a parent. I think we've all been in situations, you know, with other family members' kids or whatever, where you're like, oh, what did Santa bring you? Or what are you asking for Santa, you know? It's a fun, collective, societal, like, thing that we have for children. It's a myth that we keep alive for children because it's kind of fun. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not here to police your beliefs on it. But I do think it's a good lesson for kids to be like, hey, this is a fun thing, but also know that sometimes people, even people you inherently trust, like your parents, are going to say some things to you that aren't necessarily true. So instead of necessarily just accepting it, even if you trust the person, think through the things people tell you and understand that at the end of the day, it's up to you to determine whether or not the claims people make are reasonable and based in fact with evidence. That's maybe what I got out of it. Everyone's different, but I think it can be very constructive. Not everyone's going to agree. Do whatever you want. They're your kids. Unintendo says, resolved, flat earthers are spoiled children who are still upset Santa isn't real and use that angst to distrust everything.
And Santa at a young age, so when you're an adult, you can't tell the difference between a lie and reality. And when you do find out it's possibly a lie, oh, it's okay. You're subtle. You're passive. You allow the lie because you're used to, it's okay to lie. You've been conditioned your entire life. It's okay to lie. It's okay to be lied to. So when the lie comes out, people are just like, okay, whatever. Got to turn on my Fox News. Got to go to the bar. Got to go watch my football. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt.
When people hear about flat Earth, when I talk to them about it,
I do like bread.
They think it's a dumb.
Tucker White says, Santa isn't real, Hannah. Then explain this. That's the fault of Mom's Friendly Robot Company, okay?
Dumbest thing ever. They think I'm uneducated. They don't realize that they don't know what they're talking about. And
of course they think Fox News is fake news. To them, Fox News is left-wing. They're accidentally right for the wrong reasons.
People say, well, what about ships over the horizon? You explain that. What about sunsets? You explain that. What about season? You explain that. And then they throw their hands up and go, well, why does it matter? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work tomorrow. That's right where they want you. They want you working in your slave job. They want you obeying orders, doing what you're told, and living paycheck to paycheck, and just not realizing where you are. The truth is, we're not spinning out of control, lost in space, where an asteroid could take...
We're not lost in space, we're just in space. We're not trying to go anywhere. We're just in a galaxy. We're in a spiral galaxy. We're on one of the arms, and the arm is rotating around the center of the galaxy, and we're in a solar system on a planet that's revolving around a sun. We're not lost, we just are where we are, and where we are is moving, but that's fine.
Take us out. They want us believing we're running out of fuel. They want us to believe we're running out...
We are.
...out of food, when any...
No, we already have enough food. We don't have the political will to get it where it needs to go.
One can go and get a seed, stick it into the ground, water will fall from the sky, and food will grow out of the ground. There is...
Ah, yes. That's how easy agriculture is. There's nothing more to that. Don't try and tell me about crop rotation. I won't have any of that pseudo-scientific nonsense in this house, okay?
There's no short...
That's up there with dinosaurs in terms of things they lied to you about. You gonna tell me Benjamin Franklin, who lied to us for years about being silence do-good, you're telling me that man's Farmer's Almanac isn't suspect in the things he's telling us? I don't trust it. I don't trust anyone who invents bifocals, okay? The Franklin stove? Get the fuck out of here. Who names a stove after themselves?
Shortage of water, food, space. Every American family could have a half an acre in Texas and the rest of the country would be empty. They're lying about everything.
You let your kids get raised and taught by other people that you don't know what they're learning. Everybody's disconnected. There is no harmony or...
In elementary school, we had a famous person's day, and I came as Benjamin Franklin. I had to read a whole biography of Benjamin Franklin. So that's my Benjamin Franklin humor material. Unless you want to get into all the French ladies he had sex with, but...
Anything going on?
I don't know if you want to get into them. He's already been in there. Bazing.
With human beings, we're all scattered, disconnected, and pretty much what they're doing with teaching us this whole lie about the Earth being a ball and you're flying through outer...
I just burned Benjamin Franklin so bad, he's gonna have to call the public fire department, which he helped found. Buzzing.
Space and dinosaurs used to roam the Earth, and if these powerful beings can get wiped out by a comet, then what are we gonna do if a comet comes? We're done.
So the heliocentric model not only manages to keep us all completely worthless floating amongst the stars in space, but it also keeps us in fear that we're either going to knock into something in the future, or there's going to be something that then bangs into us that causes some sort of horrendous collapse.
If you're horrified by the prospect that something could hit us in space, I'm sorry, that's an anxiety you should probably work out with a therapist, but it doesn't change the fact that it's the reality. It's not necessarily an impending doom, you know? I think we're probably fine. But yeah, shit happens. It would be unfortunate. But there's not really anything you can do about it, so maybe don't be anxious about it. Tucker White says, Benjamin Franklin is an awesome dude. The more you learn about him, he was a party dude, a ladies' man, and possibly a serial killer. That last part's not cool. Speedo Spank, thanks for 4 months with Prime, says, 4 months and my first time catching you live. Love you in chat. Oh, thanks very much.
Collision and we're all gonna die, or maybe, you know, some cartoon satellite has found another planet where there could be like flesh-eating monsters on there, and it's, you know, some sort of crazy shit that they throw down your face and try and say, you know, this is, as well as everything else that you're scared of, keeping your house, keeping your health, keeping your family together, there's also a chance as well that some rock may fall from the sky and kill you tomorrow.
And another thing people don't know is that not only in 1920 did Rockefeller change all the textbooks and come up with his own agenda of what they want you to know.
Source, please. Profane Priestess says, my favorite Ben Franklin facts. 1, he wrote a letter to his protege telling him that about them sweet, sweet MILFs. 2, he was vehemently anti-slavery to the point of cutting his slave-owning family out of his life and running multiple abolitionist clubs. Did he not own slaves?
But there was a man named George Lemaitre. I felt like, you know, Einstein passed the torch to him or something. They were good friends. apparently, and George Lemaitre was a Catholic priest.
Puka, thanks for 17 months. Is this the guy that discovered the Big Bang Theory? Again, he was a priest, but if this is the guy, he's also a physicist. Those things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
Yeah, a Catholic priest. In 1920, he said, hey, we came from a Big Bang.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's him. Darker White says, a satellite that discovers monsters on another planet. That's literally a plot point in Transformers.
It's all about 1920 was a crazy year, huh? 1920, they said that we came from a Big Bang. We exploded from nothing. Well, how do you prove that? Well, no, you can't, but that's
not what it says. And there's also, like, magnitudes of evidence for the Big Bang.
So, here's this Catholic priest where, in my opinion, they knew that even though non-religious people knew the Earth was flat and stationary, they were trying to group, just call flat earthers at that time. They're flat earthers, they're all...
Guys, flat Earth was not a common belief in the 1920s, for fuck's sake. Tea with Goblin says, when space big, make Torg feel small. Torg not like feel small, so decide that space not so big and scary is flat and full of mammoth. Torg hit mammoth. Ugh. 78% to level 1 on the hype train. Let's see if we can get to level 5.
all religious people. So let's bring forward a Catholic priest. Look, he's not a scientist. He's not government. He's a priest.
For the record, he was also a scientist. He was both. He didn't just magically figure out the math for the Big Bang. What? Chiba Hawk with 50 bits says, why are all flat earthers also evangelicals? Not all of them are, but many of them are, and that's because the flat earth... You're kind of working backwards. They're not flat earthers that became evangelicals. They're hardcore evangelicals that discovered the idea of flat earth and felt that it bolstered their fundamentalist beliefs about the earth. Because there is some stuff in the Bible, and specifically the Old Testament, that alludes to the earth being flat, because of course it was written a long, long, long time ago. So, at the very least, sometimes it implies that, sometimes it's just poetic and they're misinterpreting it to be very literal. Either way, it's more so that flat earth proves to them the things they already believe about the nature of the world religiously, than they think flat earth is just a cool thing that goes along with their evangelical beliefs. Bumble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits. Will I am not okay with 90 bits, says Choo Choo, 99% to level 1.
He's Catholic. He's holy. This is brand new. This isn't thousands of years old. This isn't the Big Bang's been around for thousands of years.
Something being old doesn't make it good, and something being new doesn't make it bad. Danany Mousley with 50 bits says, his hat brim isn't even flat. Metal Turtle, thanks for 300 bits. Tucker White with 50 says, hell, I took an astronomy class at the University of Tennessee taught by a woman who was both a scientist and an imam. Ran the Fool says, Ree with 100 bits. 27% to level 2.
Heliocentrism has been around for thousands of years. No, they create fictional characters. Galileo, Copernicus. They
not fictional characters. They're historical peoples.
Create characters to support the New World Order, their agenda. The way they change the entire school system and structure of what we know and all the information and knowledge that we obtain. If it's false, then yeah, they got their goal. A nation of workers, not thinkers. No one thinks.
What's the circumference of the globe?
I have no idea.
How fast is it spinning at the equator?
Don't know.
How fast is it orbiting the sun?
Cody?
How fast?
I don't understand what the gotcha here is. People not being able to specifically pull numbers out doesn't mean it's not true. Most people don't feel the need to memorize these things. I know some of them because I cover flat earthers regularly and their talking points they bring up a lot. But your average person doesn't know this stuff because they don't have to, because the shape of the earth isn't a concern to them. Like, not generally. People know it, but they don't need to know. You know what I mean? Not in a practical sense, and not really even in a philosophical sense. Tea with Goblin says, throw my telescope in the air. Sometimes, wait. sometimes singing A-O. Throw my telescope in the air, sometimes singing A-O. I'm Galileo. The Earth's circumference is 24,901.461 miles. 30% to level 2.
Glasses on. You should know
this. How fast is the sun moving?
Man, you're asking some questions I'm not ready to answer.
But see, this is the point. You guys laugh at flat Earth, but one, you don't know what flat Earth is, and worse is you don't even know what your own solar system is. They don't know their own model. You can ask them, what's the radius of the Earth? How was it found? What's the speed of the Earth around the sun?
I could go find this information. Why would it matter if I knew it off the top of my head? Hello.
How fast is the Earth spinning at the equator? How fast is it chasing the sun? How many miles does it go a year? How far is the sun? Nobody, they don't know any of these things, but yet they defend this and they ridicule and...
Right, because I understand the scientific process, I understand the scientific method and how it works. And if any of these things were not what they are professed to be by the general scientific community, then that would be fact-checked. Then people would compete with those ideas and win eventually, because that's literally how it works. There's a competitive nature to academia where people try and disprove each other so that they can get credit for discoveries. And you're not going to get people to all stay silent on the shape of the Earth. It's just not going to happen. The only way 3 people can keep a secret is if 2 of them are dead. And even then, the last guy might get drunk and talk. Like, it's just impossible to have a conspiracy of the magnitude that these people are theorizing. Profane Priestess says he was a slave owner in his early years, 2 in total, but only a young man. He didn't come to be an abolitionist until middle age, so not great, but could have been worse, I guess. 32% to level 2 with a minute left. Don't let the hype train die, chat.
Make fun of flat earthers.
All the things that I was patronizing
Bittergrin, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 2.
and condescending and going, oh, sloughing off, that's not worthy of me. They rose up to eye level. And I remember saying, boy, the world is flat.
Danonymously, thanks for gifting a sub. Danonymously, I get it now.
Clearer.
I settled on near infrared, like some of these cameras can be converted to near infrared, you know? So then I started taking photos, and since I was doing a lot of flying, I started going up, and boom. I was actually amazed to see the incredible flatness that you get from high altitude. Everywhere I looked, there was like clues that yours is flat. And I was like, this is blowing my mind. Everywhere
You're not high enough up in an airplane to see curvature. Rand the Fool says, 1 more with 100 bits. 90% to level 3.
I looked, yours is flat, and NASA is lying about the curvature, so I said, something is eerily wrong over here, man. When I saw across the Gulf, right off the coast of Texas there in Louisiana, flying to Orlando, and I saw all the way out in the distance, and you could even see the rays of light at a different angle. That tripped me out. But if you really go up high, then you realize, oh my God, the Earth is extremely flat.
This would be impossible on a globe. There is no 8 inches per mile square.
That's actually true. Flat Earthers think that the formula for curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. It's not. That's a parabola, which, as you know, a parabola has a much steeper curve than a ball. They use 8 inches per mile squared because that's the formula, which is incorrectly used in the text Zetetic Astronomy, which is a foundational text of modern flat Earth. So they're all literally using the wrong calculation for Earth's curvature, which is why often they'll just have completely wrong math and be like, I did the math and it should be this, but it's not. It's because they're using the wrong equation. You need to use trigonometry to find correctly, like, the curvature of the Earth. But instead they use 8 inches per mile squared because a book told them to, which is ironic considering they're constantly the ones talking about doing their own research and learning things on their own, when in reality, they're just cribbing false information from another flat earther. Anyway, Tube Man says, why do these guys think that knowing or not knowing random facts about the Earth's rotation means you can't say the Earth is flat? I could go and ask them in what chapter did Monkey D. Luffy reveal gear 5th, but that isn't proof that anime is real. Rosalind Faye, thanks for 300 bits, says the Earth is thick. Prove me wrong. It's true. 6% to level 4.
Equation for curvature of 8 inches per mile squared has been debunked over and over again. The flat earthers with their P900s and their P1000 cameras.
Oh, no, he's saying that... Okay, no. It's not 8 inches per mile squared. That's not something that's even claimed, like, scientifically. That's something you guys said.
Are constantly seeing things way off beyond the supposed curvature of Earth.
In fact, many tests have been done with lasers, cameras, filming mountain ranges 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 miles into the horizon, which are
Yeah, if you're in an airplane, you're at a very high altitude. The higher altitude you're at, the further over the curve of the Earth you can see. Do they not know that? Do they not know that if you're really high up, again, really high being a relative term here, if you're high up, you can see further because the Earth's curvature is not obscuring as much because you're not at ground level, you're higher up. That's how perspective works. Metal Turtle says, isn't that why the Egyptians built the obelisks to measure the curvature of the Earth? I honestly don't know anything about that. Confetti Ambrosia, thanks for 100 bits. 14% to level 4.
visible and shouldn't be visible if we were living on a globe. This is how much distance he covered with his camera, and he could see from here the Rocky Mountains. There you go. There is no 8 inches per mile square.
I would agree. That's not how you measure the curvature of the Earth. Tea with Goblin says, angry flat earthers using trigonometry? More like triggerednometry, am I right? I'll see myself out. 17% to level 4.
There's no way you can see 500 miles on the other side of this ball. There's no buildings that are curving backwards. If point A to point B, you're on a ball, you know, they're not going to be flat up and down like on our flat Earth. They're going to be like this.
If they're very far away, but the distance they'd have to be for that much of an angular difference to be something, you wouldn't be able to see them. Unless you were very high up.
There's no tilting. They've measured distances from the base of buildings to the top. Level.
And again, if you're talking about buildings that are like really close together in the same city even, the curvature isn't going to be enough to like be a difference. These people do not understand how big the Earth is. I swear, it's like 90% of the problem. Two Man says, can everyone donate to my Kickstarter to send all flat earthers to space one way? 21% to level 4 with a minute left.
And flat.
People look out at the ocean and you see ships and stuff, and it appears like these ships and boats, they go down. And that is a huge factor as to why people think the Earth is round.
No, it's an experiment you can do, although often it's optically... How do I put this? Sometimes, depending on the conditions, it's optically obscured or misleading if you have refraction going on. But on the whole, yeah, it's a demonstration at the very least that the Earth is round, yeah.
If you look at...
Thrash Mio says 8 feet in 264 feet when the rectangle is 20 miles wide, 8 per mile squared. Yeah, I don't do math.
The ocean or a lake. It looks
23% to level 4 with 10 seconds left. This hype train's probably gonna die.
Flat. Look at that. Look how straight and flat that horizon is.
Looks flat, doesn't it?
See, it looks like a table or a board. Now, once in a while, you might see mountains or hills, but
thanks
those
for the
are
hype
just
train,
like
everyone.
Little bumps on what looks like a flat Earth. As ships sail away, they don't disappear all at once. No, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. That's what we call pseudoscience.
You could buy a camera now that zooms times 100, and you could zoom in on these ships and boats leaving your view, your human eyeball's view, pull out a camera and zoom in on it, and suddenly you're back. It's on top of a level surface, still cruising.
So the limit of your vision is where the sky meets the ground due to perspective. As they come together,
Hovind
that's the limit of your
Bill
vision.
Nye,
That's
or,
called our horizon.
Ken
Horizon
Hamden.
is optical. If you had a super zoom camera, you can zoom in and make this angular size bigger to reveal small objects that you...
I like how he zoomed in, but you can still tell part of the boat at the bottom is obscured by the horizon in this picture.
couldn't see. And then when you zoom out, it goes back.
Yeah, it makes him bigger, but it's still being obscured. Why would it be disappearing from the bottom up? That doesn't make any sense with what you're saying.
Together, and things disappear into the horizon, not over.
We see skylines beyond...
It's always from the bottom up, so that doesn't even make sense as a statement. If they were just disappearing into the horizon, all of it would start to disappear, not the bottom first. That doesn't make sense, and the thing you showed still showed the bottom being obscured.
We're supposed to see. I mean, the visibility from 100, 200, 500 miles away, it debunks the whole 8 inches per mile squared.
8 inches per mile squared is not how you're supposed to measure the curvature of the Earth.
I think is one of the...
It's literally just a straw man argument.
The best way to convince yourself, you do multiple images of the ground, and then you put it in a software, and you realize how flat it is. You're seeing it yourself, it's your data, nobody's lying to you.
They think it's all a matter of render distance, as if we lived in a video game.
You've taken the data at yourself.
When is my insane subathon going to be? Probably next month. I'm not kidding. I'm probably going to do a subathon next month. I'm almost to 10,000 followers on Twitch, which I'm surprised I'm not 2 yet. I'm about 250 away. So next month I'm probably going to do like a 10,000 follower subathon, like celebration. And we'll watch all sorts of videos, conspiracy stuff, whatever. It'll be fun. Cruelty says, really enjoying this stream because this is sort of thing I'd like to watch for fun, but my head would explode with frustration. This is the best thing since Tree Mountains. Yes, the Tree Mountains. Or as I like to call them, trees, more like silica pillars.
It's not Jay Tolan that's trying to, troll you. Like some people, they're like, he's trolling people, man.
And it's not SpaceX or NASA doing it either. It's yourself.
Yeah, it's yourself. You're doing your own experiment.
Many times when you're looking out over water, there's waves. Well, those waves will block entire city skylines. If this was a wave right near me, if my face was a city skyline, it blocks just the bottom. But if that wave was closer to you, it blocks much more of it. It's all perspective.
I mean, some of it's perspective. It's because it's being obscured by the curvature of the Earth a lot of the time. Tucker White says, you can zoom in on ships beyond the horizon because cameras pick up the light reflected off the ship as it travels along the curve of gravity, or to explain it like we're all stupid dumbasses, gravity bends light. Dr. Gamble says, didn't Dan Olson already do this? He did.
And I thought I wasn't going to get anything that would beat this until I found this photo.
Yeah, this is another refraction-related thing, but it's also funny because you can see the city is still clearly mostly being obscured by curvature, even though you can see some of it.
Grandmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. Typically, we would not be able to see this. This image would be viewable from much, much higher in the sky, up in space. The story has been one of the most viewed stories on our website ever. They say my explanation is a cover-up. A cover-up to their belief that this picture is proof the Earth is flat.
The one goal I had was to prove that what people are seeing from the other side of Lake Michigan is not a mirage, that they are actually seeing the city.
What do you think, Steve-a?
I think it's amazing, dude. It certainly did. It's not a mirage, I can tell you that.
No.
Our focal point was the Sears Tower.
Which is also known as the Willis Tower, right?
Yes, the Willis Tower.
The Willis Tower, and we can see it the entire time.
We can see it the entire time.
That's not a mirage. That's not a mirage, whatever you're looking at.
You see it?
Yeah.
That's that. You see that bridge?
It's not a mirage.
That's the proof right here. That's the proof. I was shocked to find out that there are a number of people that believe the Earth is still flat, and that to them, this is actually proof that the Earth is flat. One person just questioned me and asking me for a retraction of the articles and lies. A lot of people try and kind of be nice about it, like, well, are you sure you did it right? And then they send me links that the Earth is flat. And some are just pretty straightforward about it, and they title replies calling me a deceiver, and that I should check my degree or quit telling lies on television. It got me questioning.
Imagine being a meteorologist and a bunch of weirdos on the internet start sending you hate mail for reporting on an interesting atmospheric event. And they're like, why are you lying?
Things were my calculations right?
No. You can obviously see Chicago from that far away. It really is the Chicago
Even in this picture, you can see it's obscured.
skyline. We can see things farther and farther away than that and prove it. You can prove it yourself. You can go there on a clear day and see the same thing. You can go do the same tests and prove it to yourself. That's the best way to do it, right? Prove it to yourself. That you're not taking anyone's word for it. It's you're doing your own experiment. It's not a mirage. It's not an illusion. It's Chicago. From 6.
Confetti Ambrosia says threateningly, accept these hate bits. Thank you. More of that hate bits, please.
I mean, we could barely see the street sign a few blocks ahead of us on a foggy day.
Here's the definition of mirage. I'm 93% sure flat earthers are misusing the word. An optical effect that is sometimes seen at sea in the desert over a hot pavement that may have the appearance of a pool of water. That's the number one definition on here, but colloquially it usually means the second one, something illusory or unattainable. Like that. Colloquially, it's get used like that. I'm not gonna fault them for that.
I mean, they're spraying our skies with shit all the time. You can open your weather app right now.
They're called contrails. It's literally just like water buildup from airplanes.
It'll tell you the visibility. But that's how far they're telling you can see through the weather patterns. There's so many different factors of why we can't see that far. We're not superheroes. I mean, take any flat and level road around your house safely. Test it out, make sure it's level. But you take your camcorder and you bring it all the way down to the ground and you zoom in and you see all this distortion and it kind of vaporizes and globe heads want to add like this bridge is bending around a curve and there's the curve. It's like, no.
TubeMan says, I forget, how do they explain time zones or day and night? They think the Earth is like a disc and that the sun and the moon are like on them and like circling above it. Yeah, it's dumb.
Oh, it's an optical illusion. That's all it is. This has been replicated many, many times. There is no curvature. Stop fooling yourselves. That even something like the sun, when it goes across this huge plane, it sets and it disappears due to
perspective. So
it literally goes and disappears from the bottom up, once again, because of the horizon.
Seeing it come and go on such a vast plane, it's so huge that the sun could come through.
Like, they're literally showing right now it going below the horizon. That's not it getting smaller and disappearing, going away from you. It's going down. Again, I know it's relative. What's really happening is we're rotating away from it, but for all intents and purposes, it looks like it is going under the horizon because we are turning away from it.
And go so far away that it just goes out of your view. And
it's not going out of the view away, it's going down.
Behind so many false horizons, i.e. mountains, trees, forests, city buildings, just really tall things. Keep in mind, the sun is much smaller and close.
Again, you're walking away, but how would that work if there wasn't a horizon? Even in your fake example, there's a horizon! Yeah, I'm good. I'm just watching that flat earth thing.
This is an intelligently designed and created place. As someone who stars are rotating around, knowing
like in their example, their little model, it's getting obscured by the cardboard thing they're using. In the real life example, the cardboard thing would be the curvature of the Earth, would be the horizon that it's going behind. But they're trying to disprove a horizon, which isn't what their model is doing.
And we can only see a certain amount of light, I think, like 1%. There's only so much light our eyes can actually see. Unless you're on like DMT, I'm sure you can see way more lights. But naturally, we can't see that many lights in the sky.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Ancient civilizations spoke about other bodies, other lights in the sky.
Oh, this is interesting too. This comes up in conspiracy circles. Cameras have this interesting quirk where if you go above a certain luminosity level sometimes, for instance, in these images, you see the black dot on the sun. You'll see this on camera sometimes. If you exceed the brightness of the light sensor on a camera, it'll circle back around, and basically the light sensor can't detect the light, so it becomes black because it can't capture how bright the thing actually is. So sometimes on certain cameras, you'll get an issue like this on the sun or other very, very bright objects, and it's basically just because the camera sensor can't capture that level of brightness and depict it. H-Bird says, there are 4 lights
that may or may not be visible to us at any given time. It's crazy though, when you see solar eclipse, you don't see the moon at all. I remember as a kid, I like, where's the moon now? And it's like, you just see this black circle, and then everything goes back to normal, it seems like. It's like, what the heck just happened?
On the total eclipse of the sun, the shadow that the moon casts on the Earth is only 70 miles wide. That is impossible, but then they come up with umbra and penumbra, and it's just stuff to confuse your mind. We have a
You being confused isn't nefarious, you're dumb.
Infinitely far sun sending diagonal rays from the side and straight rays from the middle where they cross each other. It makes absolutely no sense.
Again, you not understanding the physics of light is not the fault of science. Like, I'm sorry you don't understand that. I am. But that doesn't make it wrong.
Live a few years ago on YouTube during the 2018 eclipse in the United States on a live event, and we were all waiting for the moon to actually show up to cause this elliptical, this eclipse, and all we found was no moon showed up. So that blew my mind, to think that there was actually no moon visible, yet this this effect of the sun literally being covered by an object.
It's the fucking moon. Jitara says, infinitely far sun. The thing is at a very finite distance that we've measured. I just can't with these people.
I had witnessed.
The sun is being obscured by the moon. The thing you're looking for is the thing that's covering the sun. It's the moon. It's the thing. You're not seeing the forest for the trees. The thing covering it is the moon. Tea with Goblin says, yeah, when I did DMT, I saw crystalline teapots pouring infinitely into each other as the universe was made, and are made in an eternal cycle of imperceptible, never-ending tea time. Then I was soothed by the belief that the walls of my house were breathing in time with me. These jorks just saw a flat earth. Boring.
Why can't we see the moon approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or exit the sun?
When you stop seeing the sun, you're literally seeing it be eclipsed. That's what it is. And you don't see the moon approaching because the sun is so bright that you can't see the moon. My brain is on fire.
Just see a black circle eclipsing the sun. We never see it next to the sun. Now people say, well, it's because the sun is so bright.
Yeah?
When the moon is totally eclipsing the sun, you should be able to see the features on the moon. You should be able to...
No, you shouldn't. From your angle that you're looking at it, what light source is getting to the moon? You normally see the moon because the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. But if it's between you and the sun, then the side that's facing you can't get reasonable amounts of light from the sun in order to reflect back to you. Because it's the moon's back, for lack of a better term, is facing you. Its face is facing the sun.
So with a regular camera, with your regular eyes, with an infrared camera, but it has never been seen. There's only been anti-flat earthers that will fake an image and fade it into a picture of the eclipse. There's no video.
Here's a picture of the thing I'm saying doesn't exist, but I put a PNG that says fake on top of it, so checkmate, science. What did the cat say to the mouse when it drove by in a race car? Meow.
Video of it. Think about what an amazing video would be if they could film it from the International Space Station or from the moon itself. Never happened.
If you were in the International Space Station, you'd be at a different angle, and wouldn't they understand that just because it's a total eclipse of the sun in one area doesn't mean it's everywhere, right? You have to be from a specific angle for that to work. And even so, they have taken pictures of eclipses from space. You see the shadow. Eclipse from space. Like, you can see pictures of this. How do they not know this? What?
Because I don't believe the moon that we see is what's eclipsing the sun. There's lots of ancient mythology about other dark bodies.
There could be
okay, there's lots of ancient myths. It doesn't mean I'm watching out for Quetzalcoatl to come and kill me, okay?
Anomalous bodies up there. They're not actually visible to us.
A celestial body that we perhaps can't see, because you know there's on the spectrum of light. We can only see 1% of all the light rays, gamma rays, X-rays. You know, we can't see these certain frequencies and energies and lights.
What happens is the sun is eclipsed by the so-called moon, but it's not the moon, it's actually the north node.
There's been, times documented in the past where there's, this eclipse, and the moon's supposed to be eclipsing, and there's no moon anywhere in the sky. Nowhere. Anywhere.
Quetzalcoatl plays the long game. I bet.
That makes absolutely no sense. So there's got to be another celestial body. The oldest ancient symbols.
There's gotta be. It's Occam's razor. Am I wrong about the Earth being flat? No, there must be a secret moon. The Smoon.
It's the black sun.
All hail the Smoon!
A celestial body that we perhaps can't see.
A lot of ancient civilizations always spoke about a black sun. It's like, why are they talking about a black sun for 100?
I'm getting yikesy because the black sun is also a neo-Nazi symbol, so I'm getting a little wary of this discussion.
Not thousands of years. And that information now is turned into, oh, the black sun is an evil thing. It's like, well, yeah, of course, that's what they're selling it.
No, it's because Nazis use the black sun imagery.
They're selling it to you as an evil thing to stay away from it.
No, it's because Nazis. It's literally because Nazis use it as a symbol. It's the fault of Nazis.
They already don't want you to like the real sun in the sky. They push it so far away. They want you to...
It's obviously the space teapot eclipsing the sun.
Not care about it. There's a reason it's close to you. There's a reason it's here for us. There might be more suns and moons on the outskirts of Antarctica, on the outer lands. There might be more suns and moons. There might be more suns and moons in our world here, but we just can't see it. And you talk about the seasons itself. Seasons prove the Earth is a stationary plane with a local sun.
When the sun is circling over the Earth over here in the Tropic of Cancer, these people here, they have summer. But 6 months later, the sun is over here. It's going around over here. So Australia...
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because then during different seasons, you'd have different, days. And I don't just mean, the normal amount that, kind of seasonally happens. I mean severe differences. And how at these different parallels would you have the same, number of hours in a day, relatively speaking? It would be completely different. This would fuck time zones so hard.
Australia down here. And
Narnia Owl says, space is fake, but there's only more stuff on Flat Earth. sound logic. Or there's totally more stuff on flat Earth.
South Africa and South America, now they have summer because the sun is local. It's not 93 million miles away.
And the sun and the moon revolving and springing into the center seasonally and then springing back out again. This makes perfect sense than...
It doesn't make sense.
A spinning ball hanging on an invisible skyhook at a degree of 6.66 of a supposed axis, which tilts the Earth.
People need to stop defending a theory that they were taught in kindergarten.
So at sunrise, every sunrise should be arctically cold because that is the most severe tilt possible. And to make it worse, in the northern hemisphere, in the helio-nonsensical model, the sun is 3.5 million miles farther away in our summer. But when the sun shows up on the horizon, I can feel the heat on my face immediately. I can get a suntan in June. But in December, at solar noon, when the sun is at its highest point in the sky, I can look up at the sun and barely feel the heat on my face.
It's because of the angular tilt of the Earth during the summer, because of the tilt that the Earth is on. During the summer, you get more sun, more literal UV radiation per square mile, so it's hotter. Tucker White says, the explanation for the seasons just broke my brain. I can't take it anymore.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! Jesus Christ, man, what the hell is wrong with you? Please, just shut up!
Dr. Gamble says, but you would see the sun all the time with this model. What do they think the sun has, a lampshade or something? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And also, it's 3.5 million miles closer. The whole tilt thing doesn't make any sense.
And when the sun is on this side, it only illuminates this part of the Earth.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it would literally be impossible based on how light works to have, like, a hard, like, exact line down the center like that. That's not how light works. Will I Am Not Okay says, so how does the land on the other side of Antarctica get sunlight? And Tube Man says, do these idiots not know how effing seasons work? Like, seriously, how do they think light works? Get, like, a glowing orb of some kind and put it anywhere and see how it, like, it doesn't have this, like, magical half illumination thing going on. That's impossible.
Because it's local. And this part is dark. That will be night. So it's quite easy to understand day and night and the seasons and explain them on the flat Earth than it is with the globe model.
The sun, moon, and stars are rotating around our heads like a perfect clock, and it goes out of your view as taking the light with it. This is an intelligently designed and created place.
The sun does move about 15 degrees per hour through the sky, but when it gets close to the horizon, it kind of stops and it stays there and it moves at a different speed. I filmed this several times with my drone. No humidity and not over water. And it'll just stop.
Yeah, it's disappearing from the bottom up.
And sit there. And then it kind of just fades away as it goes into the distance. But at the same time, because of perspective, I have friends that were down at the beach that saw the sunset 10 minutes earlier from the bottom up. And that's simply because they're looking across a span of water that has a hill with trees, a tree line on it, which is hundreds of feet over their heads. But from their point of view, it's at eye level. And as the sun moves away, it just gets eclipsed by the tree line, which they think is eye level, but it's high up in the sky.
Water. It's always flat, always level.
So starting at the northernmost point, as far as I can get, of Lake Michigan, and then traveling south, you can see that red line here, that the body of Lake Michigan is 574 feet above sea level, and it's level. There's no change in
elevation. I can't believe I have to explain this to adult people. Elevation has nothing to do with curvature. If you're measuring elevation, you're measuring distance from sea level. So as you go across a body of water, yeah, in the lake, your elevation isn't going to change because your elevation has nothing to do with the curvature that you're dealing with on the lake or on the earth. That's not how that works. That's not how anything works.
Elevation, there's no curve.
Cockblockers said, did they just use Bob Ross as evidence of their claim? I think they're using Bob Ross as an illustration to put on screen.
This cross-section shows what an undisturbed body of water looks like in that level. We know that to be true. There's 3 properties of liquids.
You're not measuring curvature, you're measuring elevation.
They have mass, they take up space, and they always take the shape of their container.
The physics of water is to find and maintain level. So if it's in a cup, to this lake behind me, to the seas, to the oceans, that's why I call it sea level, because it's flat and level.
Solar Lander, thanks for following, and KMW7339, thanks for following.
No matter who tries to sell you the idea that water's curving over a ball, it's just not happening. That's the #1 proof right there, just water alone. Water alone proves that the Earth is flat, because water always finds and maintains level, period.
Level just means points trying to find a place resting closest to the center of mass of the object that's pulling them, in this case, the Earth. So yes, the ocean is level in the sense that every single point in the ocean is trying to find the lowest point it can rest closest to the center of the Earth, but as the Earth is a sphere, that point is going to vary depending on where you are on the sphere. Dr. Gamble says they could take the gold at the Olympics with all the mental gymnastics they're doing, and Arnandia Owl says, no, it's you flat earthers who are just taking up space.
Water does not curve. In its temporary
water curves
state, it's finding its level. Once it hits the ground and finds its level, it remains level.
I never even thought of the idea of water maintaining its level, and that alone just was like mind-blowing. Like, absolutely, water has to maintain its level. Like, it's always, if it's calm and there's nothing going on, you know, it's, you look at a lake, it's just chilling.
H-Barrett says, put a piece of steel in a bathtub full of water. It sinks. Therefore, steel ships are a lie.
It has to be. It can't curve.
There's nothing you can say or do to ever show water bending or curving. Water.
Forces can curve water, whether it's electromagnetism or it's gravity. Forces can curve water. There's an experiment you can do at home. Static electricity on a comb. Put it next to a stream of water.
Water needs to be contained. No matter what you do, it's going to remain level.
The flat Earth proves beyond a shadow of a doubt the existence of
Rob G101, thanks for following.
Intelligent design, a creator, and we are all important in the center of the universe.
Yes, it is absolutely imperative that we know that there is a creator, that the sun, moon, and stars revolve around us, that we have a purpose. We are at the center of the universe. I didn't become a millionaire until I realized I was at the center of the universe.
Wait, is this about to turn into a pitch for a self-help system? I became a millionaire because I learned the Earth was flat. Now just send 3 small payments of $19.99 to this address and you'll get my VHS tape on me, Dr. Money. I'm gonna explain how you can too make $1 million on our glorious flat Earth. And Arnandia Owl says, or just look at water droplets and see it being curved.
I have a purpose.
Once you understand that you are at the center of creation, everything changes. And basically, we're unplugging from the matrix. We're unplugging from the...
God damn it. They're doing the red pill thing.
Heliocentric system.
How flat earthers would think curvature works.
Yeah.
Yes. Flat earthers think the Earth is like the size of like a bowling ball with how they think curvature should work. It's crazy. Good game. Confetti Ambrosia says, as a hate watcher, I'm doing my part to share the truth with these globe heads by donating here. Join me, flat earthers. Thanks. Appreciate those hate bits.
System. And when you do that, the rulers of this world, you unplug from them. You stop feeding them. What they need. They want your fear energy. They want your labor. They want everything from you. And people unknowingly just keep giving it to them.
I don't want my children to be lied to, and I don't want my grandchildren to be lied to either. So if this is going to stop, it starts with you and I.
You know, they inherit all this stuff. You go to school and they teach you. When I was in grad school, man, I was shocked that most of my classmates were not really interested in learning. They were interested in passing a class.
On the ones.
Did he say grad school? Because in grad school, that is absolutely not the case. If he said grade school, maybe.
Tens and tens of scientists proven that the Earth is stationary and we have nothing.
The Earth is not stationary. The evidence does not bear that out.
On the globe's side, so the Earth is stationary.
No one thinks how easy it is to do this, and they pulled it off, unfortunately. But we're here now to completely reverse this, and people hate on us from the left and from the right. Everyone hates on us. Like, shut up with your flat earth stuff. It's not important.
Here's my issue. The problem is that you're not only sharing the concept of basically magical thinking with people and acting as though it's equivalent to the actual scientific, process, but also it just leads to a lot of stuff. I said at the beginning of this video, unfortunately, flat earth and all conspiracy theories these days seem to be a pretty quick path down to, anti-Semitism and extreme political views, really bad ones. You know, the ones that involve swastikas. Anyway, so that's unfortunate. If it was just the flat earth thing, I wouldn't care that much. I'd care in the sense that they're how do I put this? I don't care if you just think the earth is flat. Don't get me wrong, you're wrong. But the beliefs that go along with thinking the earth is flat are insane. Often anti-Semitism when it comes down to it and you get deep enough, a mistrust in science in general, a belief that there's this shadowy cabal out to get you, it's nutso. It doesn't make any sense. And it's harmful. If you just believed the earth was flat, I'd laugh at you and move on. It's the fact that the beliefs that coexist with the flat earth belief that make it toxic. Nernania Owl says, flat earth evidence. Nuh-uh. And Clock Blockers says, if you could talk to these people, would you do it seriously or just meme on them until they leave or get volatile? I would start with the former, end with the latter, probably. I would try, and I do try to have honest conversations with people, because I've talked to conspiracy theorists before. But at a certain point, you realize that they're not willing to have an honest conversation about things, then that's when you meme. That's when you start to meme just for your own entertainment.
It's the most important thing. It opens...
Memeing on them would be Jake's idea, if that's true.
It's the door for everything else. You want to know the truth? You have to know where you live.
This whole agenda is to keep people disconnected from our creator, they want to just cut all our ties spiritually, and that's one reason why they calcify our pineal gland.
They don't care about our health. You know this by look at your water supply. Even the water that you'll drink yourself when you go and buy bottles of it, it's got chlorine in it, it's got...
You gotta be careful with that pineal gland, okay? I've seen the movie Brain Damage. Nernania Owl says, problem is that flat earth requires such intense levels of distrust in general facts that it's easily manipulated by any serious conspiracy offering a concrete perpetrator, aka anti-Semitic stuff. Yes.
Fluoride in it. These are all...
I know you're not saying anything bad, by the way. You're just, basically illustrating the idea, but I like to say anti-Semitic stuff because I am critically, terrified of someone clipping something I say to make it sound like I'm saying something anti-Semitic as opposed to trying to illustrate the issue with conspiracy theories being anti-Semitic. Get what I'm saying?
Chemical waste products.
So I'm not trying to unnecessarily be editorial with your comment. I'm just,
That they then rebrand and put in our drinks and tell you, oh, well, it cleans it. will also take away all of the medicine that's kept people alive and well for centuries. And they'll tell you, oh no, that's not good for you, that's not safe for you. Here's our product, here's our petroleum-based medicine that they've been pushing on us for the past 100 years. And of course, look at people's health, look at the world's health. Are we a healthy nation? Is any nation a healthy nation? No. And who's in charge of healthcare? The governments, the corporations. So it seems like everything that they touch turns to shit, so why do we allow them to touch everything?
Infant mortality rates are the lowest they've ever been in history. Overall, yes, we have health problems, but primarily the health problems that strike in, like, the UK and the US are obesity-related illnesses, people with heart disease and stuff like that. Like, people get cancers, and that's definitely in part a result of a lot of the stuff that we consume, whether it be, you know, cigarettes or lots of alcohol or whatever, but like, on the whole, no, modern healthcare is an amazing thing. The issue we have is that in places like the United States, it's expensive and not available to people.
Stop.
Tea with Goblin says, they took away our mercury, our leeches. How am I to balance my humors now? Curse you, globe heads.
Defending Rockefeller, Rothschilds, all these goons, these people that want the New World Order, the modern day people, Bill Gates, Schwab, all these people that they're...
Dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle, did you see that?
Bill Gates, Schwab, all these people...
Dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle! Nerdandia Owl says, they took away our leeches, and what did that get us? Oh wait, massively increased life expectancy and eradication of several diseases. See, I'm not being hysterical about the whole anti-Semitic thing. Flat Earth, if you get into it deep enough, it always results in anti-Semitism, I am telling you, because they have to explain who is the they that's controlling everything, and in conspiracy circles, the answer is always anti-Semitic shit, I am telling you.
They're pushing for it.
So if you're... I always get afraid when I talk about that people are going, yeah, sure, Hannah, I'm sure the flat earthers are all anti-Semitic. No, really, they fucking are. I'm not making this up. I'm not being hysterical, okay? They try to keep it on the DL, but I am telling you that in their own closed forums and circles, they openly talk about this. I am not crazy. They are crypto anti-Semites. They are hiding it so that they don't scare people off immediately.
And they feel like it's almost there, and we're sitting here fighting it. We're sitting here trying to wake the world up so we can have a peaceful and loving world again. And you're attacking us. Whose side are you on? We're trying to take these evil entities down that suppress our knowledge. We're trying to give knowledge back to the world, so we can become powerful again.
If there's more land, if 1 billion people found out tomorrow that they can all go to outer land space and visit other tribes and civilizations and explore technology and animals, the whole system would crumble.
And I know there's a lot of people out there, celebrities, people with big shows, big names, with big followings that know the truth of this world, and you're keeping quiet just to protect your little empire. Well, now it's time to say something, because the empire is falling. If we don't do something now, all of this is going away, and they're taking over this world. So speak out. It just takes one celebrity, one person with a big following, and then it goes viral, and then the entire system collapses.
There are already multiple sports figures that buy into the flat earth bullshit. So no, crazy celebrities believing crazy things doesn't make everyone else believe it.
All of this world control is based on the heliocentric lie.
God. We did it, though. We got through it. I just realized that they use, in this production company logo, they also use the black sun. Which, like I said, black sun is a Nazi symbol. So that's not good. I typed the wrong version of sun. If you ever see this, the black sun is a Nazi symbol. which they are using a very different version, but, you know, I'm just saying. Mr. Fred Rogers, thanks for 8 months, says, I'm late third trimester. Let's do this. Get my epidural ready for the delivery of the sub baby. I can't help but notice you showed a tap water bending, not a container of water. What about it? Like, I could show that, but I don't understand what you exactly mean. Tucker White says, multiple celebrities and athletes buy into flat earth dumbassery. On an unrelated note, one of them, Kylie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets are just ate shit at the NBA playoffs. And Cold Stare, thanks for 23 months. Goddamn anti-Semites. Alright, let's see if there's a cleanse maybe we could do on YouTube. I guess my overall thought is just... magical thinking is bad. Leads people down really dark pathways, like I explained with the anti-Semitism stuff. Conspiracies are harmful, even if they seem just silly. Unfortunately, people get convinced of certain beliefs, and then they just run with them until they're so deep in that they can't foresee any way other than what they've been told in their echo chambers, and that's really sad. So, that's the Flat Earth documentary. Hopefully they don't make a third one. Trying to find a cleanse. CC isn't a cleanse. Clock Blocker says, stream idea rank celebrities on how insane things they believe in. That'd be kind of funny. Debunking conspiracy theories by spreading more. Great job. Which conspiracy theory do you think I spread? Specifically, I'd love to hear it. Just trying to see if I can find that. We didn't do Sausage Guy. Oh, this is funny. I found this guy really funny. We've covered this guy before just because I think he's funny. Well, let's see him get mad at Panda Express.
It's starting to rain here and here a little bit in Indy. So I found some work down here. I gotta...
Black Sun, can you research it, please? Black Sun? What, the fact that it's a Nazi symbol? Black Sun. The Black Sun is a Nazi symbol, a type of sun wheel, German Sonnenrad, employed in Nazi Germany and later by neo-Nazis and in some strains of Satanism. The symbol's design consists of 12 radial sig runes, similar to the symbols employed by the SS in their logo. It first appeared in Nazi Germany as a design element in which a castle at Welsburg, remodeled and expanded by the head of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, which he intended to be center for the SS. Is that enough? Is that enough? Is that enough for you? There you go. I didn't make it up. Jesus.
God, this damn fucking... Gotta get out of this Panda Express fucking parking lot. Because these motherfuckers don't have any fucking teriyaki fucking chicken. For like the gazillionth time. You know, that's the only shit I eat at fucking Panda Express is teriyaki. I don't eat anything else. I tried that orange chicken. It's okay. It's not bad. On a 1 to 10, I give it a 5. Teriyaki.
Oh no! A 5 out of 10? Can't handle. Unintendo says, when are we going to talk about the black hole sun that the globe heads refuse to admit is coming to wash away the rain? And our Nandy Owl says, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Okay, I give fucking 10.
What was their source? Sorry, I'm not familiar with it as a Nazi symbol. Are you concerned trolling or are you for real? Because it's like a known thing that that's a thing. Black sun symbol. Nazis. I know Googling is free. Apparently not, because you're asking me to Google things for you. The black sun is a Nazi symbol, a type of sun wheel, employed by Nazi Germany, blah, 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 blah. Similar to symbols on their SS logo, behind their Kremlin. You can find all the sources at the bottom of this page. Because this is how Wikipedia works. They have all their citations at the bottom of the page. Oops. Sorry, that didn't work. I'm surprised you've never heard before about the black sun thing. It's a pretty famous Nazi symbol. So go down here, and here are all the sources. Fucking neo-Nazis, man.
Plus, yeah, why don't you cut that corner sharper? Might take my front fucking bumper off. So I'm going over to the Waffle House. Because I don't have any motherfucking teriyaki chicken for the gazillionth time, and I'm getting sick of this shit. You're not Panda Express without your damn teriyaki. That's all there is to it. Okay, I'm trying to make a left here at this fucking intersection. There we go. Anyway, I'm down here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Well, I'm in Beach Grove right now, at the south side. That's the only thing I eat at Panda Express is teriyaki. I go in there. I didn't even talk to anybody. I didn't want to be rude with anybody. I didn't want to fucking scream at anybody. But I went in there. And I immediately walked over to the counter, cutting in front of people, see if they had teriyaki. It was empty, so I said, I'm out. I don't give a fuck. I just cut right to the fucking line. I don't give a shit. No teriyaki. I'm out. Now I'm going to the Waffle House, which is right around the corner here. The Waffle House! And I don't even eat fucking waffles. I don't eat fucking waffles at the Waffle House. I never have. I never have. I never once ate a waffle at the Waffle House. I just eat cheeseburgers and... They got that fucking two-head breakfast. That fucking thing is biblical. They got a biblical breakfast at the Waffle House. But anyway, I'm out.
I love him. I love him so much. Wait, why is he calling Nick Fuentes and John Doyle commies?
I'm going to make this short and sweet because I got to get about my day and do my daily stuff. I'm in Indiana right now. I'm on my way to Nebraska. I went to the Trump rally yesterday in Delaware, Ohio. Pretty good rally, pretty good turnout. There was about probably a dozen, if that, maybe 10, of, I don't know who they were, this group. They came out. They wearing white neck gaiters, covering their faces. You will never see me cover my face. That's number one. Okay? So obviously they're worried about getting doxxed. I didn't know who these guys were, but they look like trouble. I seen them go over and shake hands with the Proud Boys. I got nothing against the Proud Boys, but this other group, I don't know who they were. Somebody said they're a white nationalist from Chicago. That's what I'm hearing. I can't confirm or deny that. Like I said, they had some kind of blue flag with the kind of pointed this way and the other shape pointed this way. I'd never seen it before. I've never seen this kind of flag. But anyway, they showed up at the Trump rally yesterday, about a dozen of them. They didn't stay very long. They might have stayed there probably.
If white nationalists are showing up at the same political rallies as you, maybe take 5 seconds to think about what that means if they're there to support the same candidate as you.
An hour, not even that. They didn't stay very long. But anyway, so when somebody mentioned Chicago, because I was asking around, who are these guys? And somebody said something about Chicago. Yeah, and I thought, well, that's where John Doyle's from, Chicago.
John Doyle is not from Chicago. John Doyle is from a suburb of Detroit, and he moved to Texas.
John Doyle. You know who John Doyle is, right? And it's kind of funny, because I went to school with the John Doyle. Not the same John Doyle, just first and last name, coincidence. I fucked his sister. But anyway...
What?
I ain't gonna say her name. No, it wasn't... Yeah, okay, but anyway... That was back in high school. But anyway...
I don't care who you fucked, what?
What was I saying? John Doyle from Chicago, okay?
John Doyle isn't from Chicago. I don't know where he's
This
getting
washed
at.
up nobody, white supremacist, okay? This fucking idiot says that women shouldn't be able to vote because they're too insecure. Are you fucking kidding me? Nowhere in the Constitution does it say anything about women cannot voting. It says all men should be treated equally. That's exactly what it says.
It's weird, because, like, yes, of course women should have the right to vote, but also when the Constitution was written, women did not have the right to vote. So, like...
Okay.
He's confused, but he's got the spirit. Yep, that's how I would classify
I don't know much
this.
about this John Doyle. Oh, I seen him in person one time. In Lansing, right before the Stop the Steal rally in D.C., I was there. But they had a rally the Wednesday before in Lansing. I don't even know what this rally was about. But John Doyle and this little goons from Chicago showed up.
Clock Blocker says, I only learned recently the swastika was an ancient religious symbol because fascists are unoriginal, but recently Hindu groups tried to take it back, but it didn't work. Yeah. It's gonna be quite a while before... It's gonna be a long time before I think anyone's comfortable with that symbol in most contexts. Yeah, Nazis ruin everything.
His little, degenerates. And
it's funny, too, because, like, this guy's a Trump fan. Like, he's on the same side as John Doyle.
They were harassing a female because she was simply a Black Lives Matter supporter who I knew, but in person. I'm not gonna say her name. But they were kind of harassing her, and you know, I had to step in a little bit, like, hey, come on, you know. John Doyle, he's a fucking idiot. And Nick Fuentes, I can't even pronounce his fucking name. Nick Fuentes, or is it
Fuentes. Nick Fuentes.
Or Fuentes, or whatever. I'll just call him Ass Clown. Nick Ass Clown Fagentis. Okay? This fucking idiot denied the fucking Holocaust. The only reason this fucking ass clown got famous is because he got doxxed by Antifa there in Charlottesville. He was a student, I think he was a student in Charlottesville. They came out there with their little tiki torches on a Friday night chanting, White Lives Matter! White Lives Matter! Which I believe white lives matter. Absolutely. I believe black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter, brown lives matter. But they were out there shooting, you know, giving Nazi salutes. They were actually doing this. Okay. Waving the little candles that they bought at Walmart and Dollar General and Family Dollar and Big Lots.
It's important that he lists all the retail stores where the Nazis bought their candles. DM Trey with 24 months says, yo, 2 years of Hannah. Happy 2nd anniversary.
On a Friday fucking night. Do these white supremacists have anything better to do? On a Friday night, I'm either going out making money, working, or I'm getting a third base.
Not home though. That's how you know he's honest, because he didn't say he's getting like he's not home run, third base. Factual statement. I trust him.
With the female. My question to these juvenile delinquents, have they ever had a female drop their panties in front of them? Probably not.
This guy has such a weird personality because he is a right-wing Trump supporter, but I don't even know if he knows why.
Woman drop her bra in front of me, panties in front of me, and shake her ass in my face. I bet they never had... I bet these ass clowns have never had a set of female tits in their face. Ever. Other than a strip club. They're washed up nobodies. I'm not that famous. I'm just a big mouth on YouTube. I'm a nobody. I admit I'm a nobody.
I like that he says he's not that famous, as to imply he might be a little famous, and his channel has 674 subscribers, which isn't even a little famous. I'm not that famous. Nornandia Owl says, you might be self-aware enough to realize hanging out with neo-Nazis is kind of a bad look, even if you mostly agree with them. Perhaps.
I admit it. I'm just a guy that lives in his car, does his thing, travels around, and makes videos. I don't expect to get famous. Getting famous on social media just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and it clicks.
He's not famous on social media. What's he talking about? Roland says, next he'll be standing with Ukraine. Does he just not get the newsletter? I don't know.
But then they want to try to keep their name, you know. Who bought that little Mustang of his when I seen him at CPAC in Orlando last year, 2021? Nick Fuentes, whatever. Nick asshole. How about that? I'm not fans of these guys. I used to like these guys because they're Trump supporters. And I got looking into these guys. I'm like, well, you know what? I don't really like that kind of stuff. It's kind of questionable. And then I seen the way John Doyle treated that female in Lansing, the girl from Detroit. I ain't gonna say her name.
Stone Corbell says, I liked these guys before I knew literally anything about them other than that they like Trump.
The black girl, she was a nice girl. I've seen her at a few protests. I didn't like how he treated her. And then he comes out and says women shouldn't be able to vote. Hey, John Doyle. Fuck you, you misogynist. You're...
Clock Blocker says, I love how the Unite the Right rally just destroyed the right's public image because they wouldn't know solidarity if it shot them in the face. Fuck you, John Doyle, you misogynist.
You're a fucking misogynist motherfucker, is what you are.
Yeah, he is. I agree.
And Nick Fuentes, this fucking dork. He looks like a dork. He does. He looks like a fucking dork. Anyway, I'm out of here.
I love him. I love him so much. What an interesting guy. Oh, I'm out. Alright, let's see who we're gonna raid. Is this the new Peter? I miss Peter. Ah, Peter.
A canning factory. It's not safe.
Alright, have a nice night, everyone. Tomorrow I will be back for Tinfoil Tuesday, our favorite day of the week. So if you liked what you saw today, make sure you show up for tomorrow. It won't be one long big conspiracy video, but it'll be us watching tons of small conspiracy videos, and we'll play conspiracy bingo, and it'll be a lot of fun. So if you liked what you saw and you're not already, give me a follow. Consider supporting the channel with a subscription. Love you too, Mr. Blast. And I think that's it. Patron-only live stream will be Saturday, I believe. So if you want, you can become a Patreon. Other than that, have a wonderful evening, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Later. I'm out.